is Steve Hatch. We're out here in Union, South Carolina for round one of the AMP.
to go GNCC Racing!
Mikey Wayne's here with Steve Hatch. We're out here in Union, South Carolina for round one of the AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series. Union, South Carolina, big buck, round one. Coming off that 2017 season, Steve, talk to me, man. What can we expect out of the XC1 this year?
Yeah, I think, Mikey, it's going to be a great season again. I think one of the things is that we got to watch always the five-time champ. Caleb Russell is going to be tough, gnarly. He knows how to race. He knows how to put it all together and put a good season together. We saw a great battle happening right before 6 days last year. Thad Duvall's coming back. He's on the factory husky, strong, mentally strong. He's ready to go. Never count out Josh Strang. A bunch of the other guys. Ryan Sipes is going to be at a few. A lot of top guys that are going to be there that are going to be tough all year long. So it's going to be a great battle, and I think it's going to come down to a lot of the guys that who wants it the most, like always. And it's exciting with round one being tomorrow.
Absolutely, and we got the Baylor brothers back together as well. Well, man, what about XC2? That's always an exciting one. Honestly, I think kind of a fan favorite. I know I always enjoy it.
Absolutely. XC2, you can blow it wide open. Josh Toth, obviously, last year really came in out of nowhere and dominated and had a really good season. There's more riders, obviously, some coming over from Europe, everywhere. I think one of those, it's such a big class. It's one of those classes that you have to get a good start. You have to put all 3 hours together. A lot of guys are super fast, super fit. The bikes aren't as fast as the 450s. So one of the things is being able to miss a lot of the bumps and get the maximum out of your bike. So the XC2 class is one that I always love watching also. They pin it, and everybody's going the whole time 100%.
And now what about the 125s, that FMF XC3?
Yeah, that's a cool class, really is. It's got a lot of riders that are excited to come out of, the woodwork as far as not in between both of those other classes, XC1 and XC2. One of the things is Alex Teagarden's bumping up. He just won the 250A championship last year. A few of the other guys, Jesse Ansley, a bunch of the other guys, going to be back in it, battling. There's just so many guys in all three of those classes. Really tough to only pick one. I know a lot of these guys personally and coach a lot of them personally, and they've been putting in the homework. And 3.5 months since last one in Indiana, everybody's fired up and wants to win the championship tomorrow. You can't. I'm telling my guys, you got 12 races to do it.
That's right.
After tomorrow. So we'll circle the wagon, see what we did good, see what we can improve on, and go from there.
You're absolutely right, Steve. Well, man, I know I'm excited. I know you're excited. I know the fans are pumped. That's enough talking. Let's get down to the start line. Wave a green flag. Go GNCC Racing. Rodney, it's all you, my man.
All right. Sorry about that, but thanks a lot, Mikey. And I'll tell you, that's just exactly how excited we are right now. Things are at a fever pitch here at the GNCC. And I'll tell you what, as far as weather and everything is concerned, it couldn't be better. We have had a little bit of rain showers today, but honestly, I think it has done nothing but made things better. The ground is perfect, temperatures are perfect, and round one should be perfect as well. Let's take a look at our starting lineup as we roll to the line first today. He is a 5-time GNCC champion, and he hails from Boonville, North Carolina, riding aboard the FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 989. He was second in points after last year's championship season. And of course, he is poised and ready to make things happen here in 2018. Out of Williamstown, West Virginia, on the Rockstar Energy Factory, Husqvarna Racing, Husqvarna, Thad Duvall. Rolling to the line today, third in points. Riding aboard the number 212 from Duval, Washington, on an Am-Pro Yamaha. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. Rolling to the line next aboard the 514. He took the season opener win right here a year ago from out of the great state of South Carolina, the town of Belton, on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, he is aboard the 314. He is the younger brother as well of the 514, and of course he took his first win just last season as well aboard that 314 machine. Of course, we're talking about Grant Baylor. Riding aboard the number 739, a different number and a different look. What will it be as far as the results go for this rider? He hails from Morganton, North Carolina on a JCR Honda, Lucas Oil Maxxis-backed Honda, Trevor Bollinger. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the 114. He is a former GNCC champion hailing from Australia. On a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna Racing Husky, Josh Strang. Riding aboard the number 264, hailing from Ekron, Kentucky, the first ever U.S. overall ISDE winner. He is a former motocross and supercross star. He has his sights set on some big things here in 2018. And of course, he is starting it off with GNCC. Welcome, Ryan Sives. Rolling to the line next aboard the 717 from Clarion, Pennsylvania on a Buchanan Racing MPR suspension, Jesus Christ back TM, Mason Atherton. Riding aboard the number 12 from Cookeville, Tennessee on a Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. And welcoming back for a full season of racing. He grew up through the GNCC ranks, took a little hiatus due to injury and rebuilding, but he's back stronger than ever. Aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio on a KR4 Husqvarna backed by GTR Complex, Corey Buttrick. Riding aboard the number 17 from Forked River, New Jersey on a Solid Performance KTM backed by Fly Racing, Working Class Industries on that KTM, Jesse Grom. Rolling to the line next, he's a rookie this year aboard the 523 from Fairmont, West Virginia on the KR4 Husqvarna, Lane Michael. Welcoming back aboard the number 410 out of Birdsboro, Pennsylvania on a factory gas bar racing gas machine, Andrew DeLong. Riding aboard the number 277 from Malika Hill, New Jersey on an SRT Kenda O'Neill backed Husqvarna, Wally Palmer. And last, and certainly not least, aboard the 926 from Canada on the KTM Canada Thor Parts Canada back KTM, Kevin Benoit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this opening round of 2018 in the BP Fuels Big Buck GNCC for our XC1 Pro class, getting ready to write the pages of history for a brand new season. Last year, as we said, we saw Stu Baylor come out in amazing fashion and clean house as he took names in his own house of South Carolina to capture the win. Will he be able to pull it off again here in 2018? That question will be answered in a matter of only about 3 hours. Another big question right now, what about Caleb Russell? Will he stack on another big win to that climbing and growing win tally as the winningest motorcycle rider in GNCC history? Well, we'll find out, but I'll tell you, there's a whole lot of new names, a whole lot of new blood, and more importantly, a whole lot of new attitude that might bring about some major change here in 2018 in the new season. 44 years since we ran that Blackwater 100, and here we are on a warm day in South Carolina, awaiting the waving of that green flag. Of course, we turned our attention to Ricky Towery up near turn 1, as he is our maestro and conductor of ceremonies, and Ricky informs these riders and his crew we got 1 minute. 1 minute before the start of the big buck. And now the hearts really begin to pound and the pace begins to quicken. The sweat begins to trickle as the anticipation of the next 35 or 40 seconds is really starting to weigh heavy. All that hard work, all that determination, it all comes down to this point as we get set to kick it off. And shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing. And I got to ask you, Big Buck fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? That's pretty good. But I got to tell you, on the first try yesterday, the ATV fans did a lot better. And I know that we got a lot of heart here on the two-wheel side of things. So I'm going to try this one more time. It is the opening round, and we are in South Carolina. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go Big Buck GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the BP Fuels Big Buck GNCC. Around the first turn they roll. It's rough, it's rowdy, it's Rick. No, it's Josh Strang stealing the $250 away. Wally Plummer back in the number 3 spot now as we kick off a brand new field of XC2 250 pros with Craig DeLong, Sam Evans, Cole Madison, Nathan Thornhill, Jason Thomas, Pascal Rockenecker, Austin Lee, Joseph Ferrero, Liam Draper, Joshua Tote, Brendan Riordan, Philip Cheney, Harrison Helmick, Michael Witkowski, Scott Grills, Brian DeSault, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Anthony Frederico, Tyler Braniff, Brett Gorley, Kyle McDonald, Tegan Temple, Benjamin Kelly, Zach Nolan, Zach Hayes, Hunter North, Tyler McSwain, Alexander Gugion, Braxton McGee, Ryan Francis, Nick Davis, Trevor Barry, Jonathan Gior, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. And around that first turn, the XC2 250, and it's the 23 of Big Sam Evans from St. Albans, West Virginia, on the AOMC Fly Racing JDP suspension back machine. The FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Jesse Ansley, Hunter Reimer, Cody Barnes, Jake Rowland, Hayden Hefner, Ryan Lojak, Alex Teagarden, Eddie Lojak, Devin Welch, Jason Raines, Johnny Barber, Dustin Simpson, Samuel Scamper, Colton Kinsler, Colin Keegan, Jason Langenbach, David Quillen, Tristan Landrum, Hunter Shelton, and Christopher Vendetti in 10 seconds. And the 99 of Cody Barnes gets a great jump off the line, but he's pushed out in that first turn. They jockey for position. It's going to be the 52 of Hunter Reimer out of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, backed by Lojak Cycles as we go to the 258 class next. Chase Hayes, Dakota DeVore, Blaine Kimmery, Caleb Root, Robert, Corey Wagner, Matthew Davis, Kevin Schreckengost, also Owen Guys, Luke Ross, Noah Clark, Connor Guiney, Nathan Rector, Jeremy Dodlin, Keith Gindley, Josh Farrell, Andrew Gross, Jordan Arbabani. 10 seconds. Brewer Colley, Jeff Lance, Jason Key, JoJo Bowden, Jeremy Anthony, John Campbell, Keith Hollowitz, Seth Weiss, Jonathan McDougall, Julian Boswinski, Noah Stewart, Logan McDonald, Noah Stevens, Mark-Andre Bodwin, also Caleb Cloyd, Simon Johnson, and Justin Blaylock. Whew. It's 385 out through that one. Nathan Rector from Rogersville, Missouri on a Marionville Moose Enduro Engineer back machine. Open A bike coming up next. It is Levi Keller, Mark Horesco, Connor Smith, Zach Tussle, Jaron Williams, Evan Earl, Alan Jones, Chad Miller, Garrett Duncan, Corbin Patton, Andrew Wilson, Brian Klementowski, Maxwell Randolph, Trenton Boffman, Joshua Lee, Hunter McDaniel. 10 seconds. Tyler Soriano, Nathan Bidwell, Eric Geis, Justin Leonard, Matt Kervin, Roger Jackson, Zach Dodson, Coke Beckert, Marcus Scott Cornell, Levi Cagle, John Mealy, Brock Cagle, Jason Lipscomb, Bryce Coster, Corey Jordan, and Justin Cross. That's your open A class. Rounding the first turn, it is the 522, if I'm looking at that right, and that would be Marcus Scott Cornell out of Slatersville Springs, New York. 208 bike class coming up next. We're talking about Joe Marsh, Tyler Centrino, Zachary Davidson, Michael Beeler Jr., David Zimpel, Chase Koval, Taylor Johnson, Brady Ware, Aaron Miller, Cole Johnson, Landon Lynn, Aiden Pogson, Ryder LeBlanc, Ty England, and Randall Irvin. 10 seconds. $199. Zachary Davidson from Iron Station, North Carolina, Husqvarna USA, Dunlop Fly, and Chad Davis Racing sponsor grabbing the early lead as we go to the four-stroke A lights. Johnny Manera, Michael DeLosa, Justin Murphy, Eli Childers, Christopher McManus, Adam Hollenkamp, Zach Murphy, Jake Ross, Ronnie Beach, Hunter Williams, Blake Reinstaff, Russell Smith, Bolton B. Roth. Less than 10 seconds to go for Brendan Poling, Nathan Saving, Adam Parker, Jacob Wilson, Riley Johnson, Brandon Keegan, Nathan Davis, Eric Ross, Kevin DuBois, Colton Brown, Tyler Daniel, Connor Keegan, Brian Cornier, Ryan Kerr, Frederick Bluin, Austin Norris, Jesse Zybel, Gabrielle Potvin, Nick O'Brien, Justin Meads, and Brandon Orr. 192 coming across that line first and into the second turn. Jake Ross from Middletown, Virginia. KTM rider taking the early lead. Junior AB class coming up next. Andrew Boggs, Tyler Brunton, Casey Belt, Stephen Young, Dustin Ulrich, Jesse Kildo, Chris Crispin, Peter Nickel, Joseph McCarty, Nick Mellinger, Nathan Zicklow, Van McCarron, Devin Burks, Lucas Towery, Colton Hawk. 10 seconds. Sammy Doris, Jared Shiley, and Matthew White. Junior AB class. A lot of senior riders in this one as well. It's going to be 825. Sammy Doris from Greenbrier, Tennessee, on his Husqvarna taking the early lead there. We go next to the Vet A class. Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Sean Royal, Kevin Rammer, Jesse Arsenal, Louis Oleon, Galardos Malo, Surly Aminico, B.J. Scott. 10 seconds. Buddy Barnes, Nathan Alring, Andrew Matusik, Aaron Suter, Brandon Ladon, Rob Shank, Bill Zvendi, and Nick Capasso. Great jump there by a few guys. Let's see who's going to sort it out. Ooh, man, a few changes, but it's going to be the 5-4-2 of Andrew Matusik from Franklin, Georgia, grabbing the early lead in this one. Senior A, Sean Remington, old shotgun himself, Frank Tussle, Gregory Richardson, William Lackey, Rick Burton, Chris Levin, Joe Kessler, John Leonard. 10 seconds. Ivan Banga, Kevin Knott, Bob Bergman, John Beaver, Frank Messina, Shannon Hatfield, Larry Sylvia, Jeremy Dexter, and Joseph DeRico. Senior A rounding that first turn now. .589, Frank Messina from Campbell Hall, New York. Looked like he may have been the rider grabbing the early lead there as we go to the four-stroke B lights. Garrett George, David Purcell, Joe Spivey, Kevin Cotton, Morgan Scott, Jacob Gibbons, Jacob Taylor, Zachariah Tinky, Denver Martin, Hayden Dillon, Tyler Daniel, Fant, Grady Fant. Also looking at Nicholas Haynes, Chad LaFollette, Zach Maley, Ethan Schultz, Garrett Robertson, Nick Vassy, Mitch Goldfarb, Alan Nolting, Kevin Donovan, Gatlin Welburn, TJ Fine, Tyler Sylvia, Andrew Tinker, Jake Easler, Mac Reimer, DJ Carawan, Tyler Gentry, Caleb Kindler, and Billy Seglia. 707, Tyler Sylvia from Monticello, Georgia. V3 Off-Road Cycle Specialty Fly Racing, grabbing the early lead of those 31 four-stroke B lights riders heading through those first few turns. Now to the 250B class, we see Grant Kerpman, Kyle Prisma, Eden Hardman, Jake Borum, Dakota Chalmers, Riley Miller, Landon Ray, Sean Cochran, Lucas Place, Samuel Wilson, Aaron Waldorf, Jonathan Manella, John Cross, Philip Dangius, Mike Grubb, Ian Flynn, Jake Hansett, Jake Kelly, Jake Macon, Joey Bayer, Aaron March, Dustin Stanley, Gary Greer, Robert Whitlock, Chase Phillips, Benjamin Bluon, Brock Holloway, Andrew Coffey, Steve Bannock, and Adam Williams. 200B class didn't catch that start leader there, but Sean Myers in the 200B class coming up next. Chase Hall, Robert Hancock, Connor Jenkins, Tanner Kerfman, Kyle Rose, Brian Erickson, Cody Smith. 10 seconds. Michael Overstreet, Norman Connors, Brandon Schick, Justin Gibbs, Ryan Ladon, Justin Snipes, Jacob Harmon, Jeffrey Snooper, Jack Bryant, Trent Gaither, Noah Haynes, Josh McCoy, Bailey Parker, Colby Davis, Travis Raynaud, Devin Watson, Jonathan Trump, and Hunter Scott. 6:07, Colby Davis from Berkshire, New York, alias Steve Hatch, Max's back ride. Steve Hatch joining us on the broadcast today here on RacerTV.com as well. Bet B 30-plus class, Wes Morris, Larry Hooper, Robert Jones, Sean Morris, Jeremy Stawobi, Ryan Wilkie, Randy Revore, Dustin Connor, David Conrad, Gary Basang, Beth Conway, Adam Mullen, Jason Herring, Justin Ramsey, Jonathan Doman, Joshua Humble, William O'Brien, Ross Kennedy, William Bryan, Neil Hood, Reed Pate, Mike Swartz, Michael Mead, Matt Modick, Nick Wolcott, Brian Mullen, and Nicholas Nyman. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. He's got 911 on the bike, but that's not his number as we round that first turn. What's this GNCC racing number? How about 424? That's Ben Conway from Howard, Ohio on a Team Conway Jacobs Moto Point View back machine. Open B coming up next. Matt Sorge, Joshua Webb, Denver DeShong, Ivan Talala, Austin Biscar, Jordan Lawson, Devin Pominowski, Joe Doran, CJ Seitzinger, Max Horesco, Matt Buffy. 10 seconds. Ian Smith, Dylan Ely, Ted Roney, Logan Betts, Anthony Herring, Corey Burton, Andrew Davis, and Drew Norris. Denver DeShong on the 333 out of Emler, Pennsylvania. And then our senior B40-plus class, Jeffrey Flynn, Mark Proper, Leon Whitaker, Devin Ferguson, Matthew Chester, Joe Maurice, Jason Stickley. 10 seconds. Jeff Galbraith, Justin Hill, Ken Anderson, Gene Swedwa, William Hollenbeck, Patrick Mosley, Darren Darmos, and Scott Matheny. Around the first turn into turn two, it is 4-4-3. Jason Stickley out of McDonald, Pennsylvania, on a Lunova Racing, Stiller Motorsport, strictly hauling back machine, and that's going to wrap up our starts here for the 1 o'clock race today, my friends. We got some great battles going on. Some nearly 400 riders at 390 riders is what we got rolling out there today in this afternoon's race. 12.7 miles of race course. It's all beautiful South Carolina terrain. How's it all going to pan out? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL's Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I'm Mikey Waynes. I'll be joined in the booth here in just a moment with Rodney Tomlin, as well as our brain trust Steve Hatch is going to be joining us in the booth this year, as well as Johnny Gallagher. Johnny G, of course, always in the booth with us here on Sundays. Those guys will be joining me, so I won't be here all by my lonesome. I'll have some company. Right now it's just me and some Monster Energy. Well, welcome back to Big Buck. Round number 1 of this 2018 season already underway. To get you caught up real quick, let's take a look. The XC1 class, right out of the whole shot, it was Josh Strang stealing it away from Ricky Russell. We did get a track update, a track report that Ricky Russell has taken that lead back. So we know he's out in front. Not quite sure yet who is behind him. We'll get some footage of that here in a moment, I'm sure. We'll keep you updated on that as the day goes on. Out of the XC2 class, it was Sam Evans snagging the whole shot out of that. And out of the FMF XC3, it was Hunter Reimer snagging a whole shot out of the gate there. So that's how the stage is set. We're here, Big Buck, Union, South Carolina, round 1 of the 2018 season getting underway. Now, last year at this time, Stu Baylor took the win. In his home state, Stu Baylor took the win. Can he have a repeat performance today? I don't know. We'll find out. Right now, we're going to take a look at the track description, I believe, with Jared Bolton.
Woo! Oh, man. Telling you, this track's a lot of fun, guys. Last year was our first year coming here and trying it out as round 1, and it was pretty successful, so we're doing it again. You know, this is a good track. It's got a little something for everybody. You got some fast stuff. We got tight stuff. You got field sections, creek jump, hill climb. It's a lot of fun. Coming here a lot of years now, and there's a reason for that. Everybody really enjoys Big Buck. Definitely gives a challenge, and you guys are going to enjoy it.
So just like Bolton said there, it's got a little bit of everything, and all the race reports up to this point have been excellent. We've gotten a little bit of rain today. I don't really think that's affected it too much. Oh, go ahead.
But as a matter of fact, it may have helped it, to be honest, because it really wasn't a lot of rain. The reports I were getting after the AM race is that it's tacking up real nice. I believe we're going to have ourselves a pretty darn good race. So you're getting a look at it now. We saw the FMF PowerPoint, new this season. You're going to see it in just a second. Boom, right there, the Monster Energy Mile. The Monster Mile going to be a part of every round here. And Johnny G joining me in the booth now. Johnny, you raced this yesterday. You were out there this morning helping out Becca Sheets. Tell me about this track, man. What can we expect from Big Buck?
Man, you know, this place is just in such great shape this weekend. We were kind of dreading it coming in, everybody looking at the forecast, seeing all that rain. All the talk amongst, you know, friends on the internet was, wow, it's going to be a mud fest for round one. And honestly, this track couldn't have turned out to be any better, Mikey. It's just absolutely amazing how that little bit of moisture in the dirt has just turned this South Carolina clay into such a phenomenal racetrack. You know, the track crew really did an awesome job this year. We just got to see that track preview. They really strung this course together a lot differently than they ever have in the past. You know, we've been coming here since 1997, if memory serves me correctly. So we've been coming here a long time, 21 years. So to be able to have this place, the same property, Henry Turner's Big Buck Farms, and have it be basically an all-new racetrack in terms of how it's strung together is really impressive. Here we see Thad Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Husky, out there coming into that Monster Mile hard on the throttle. And I tell you what, these guys are charging early. They're not messing around. There's his teammate, Josh Strang, the number 114 machine out there laying it down. And looked like behind him, possibly Stu Baylor, I believe that was. And there we see some more guys popping through there. Looks like Ricky Russell. We see Ryan Sipes. There we do see the number one of Caleb Russell working his way up through. Not sure exactly what happened, Mikey. I was away finishing up some stuff from that morning race, but it looked like he got off to a bit of a slow start.
Well, you talking about Caleb?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Out of the gate, it was Josh Strang. Him and Ricky Russell coming right into that hole shot, and Josh Strang was able to get around him and take it from him. The last report we had was Ricky Russell was out in front, but obviously that is no longer the case. Was it Thad out in front?
Yeah, it was Thad Duvall leading, Josh Strang in second, and it appeared to me to be that the Ricky Russell was back in about fourth or fifth, if that was him that I saw. Apologize. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to these new numbers, new looks, new bikes, all that kind of stuff. But definitely, that looks like that was Grant Baylor coming by there, so it looked like he may be a little bit further back. Stu Baylor looked like he was up in possibly that fourth place position. So we'll get a read on these guys as they come checking the scoring here not far from now. This here's about 3/4 of the way through, and now look at this, the number one machine. So we got two number one FMF KTMs out there this year. This one is Josh Toth, our reigning and defending XC2 champion. He was off to about a fourth or a fifth place start. It was actually the 111 machine of Jason Thomas, not with the actual hole shot, but he was the first rider I saw when they came by me on that new on the new Monster Energy Kawasaki ride. So it's exciting to have Monster on board with us for 2018. Again, bringing us the Monster Mile that we're watching here, just a part of this course, but definitely one of the more challenging parts. You know, this drops down into a ravine, a lot of elevation change, and man, it gets rough. You come down in there, and again, we were talking about how good that moisture made the soil, but it also made it so you get a lot of braking bumps. So these guys are going to be taking a lot of feedback through the handlebars. You know, suspension setup is going to be key today. The guys that came in did their homework. They're physically prepared, mentally prepared, and they have their machines and suspension set up. Man, that's really going to pay off during this 3-hour race. And just think about that, 3 hours, Mikey.
Yeah, I can't even fathom it. I know watching some of the ATVs yesterday, watching people earlier this morning in the morning race, both the youth race and the AM race, just obviously our pro riders go out there and they train all summer. You know that down in Florida, but it still seems like the conditioning, not necessarily going to say it's getting the best of them, but it's just that it's that round one. It's different than training, you know what I mean? Like, you're out there, you're running, you're racing now. It's a different pace, and so I think endurance is going to be huge. I think we saw that yesterday on the ATV side. It seemed like a lot of your younger guys, your newer guys were up there in the front, and man, as that race wore on, it just seemed like the veterans were working their way to the front. So we'll see if the same plays out today for the bikes.
Absolutely. You know, with that extra hour, that is a big thing, and, you know, 60 minutes, that's a big effort there to put in that last hour. You know, but you hit the nail on the head, really, Mikey. When it really comes down to it, you can prepare all you want in terms of you're in the gym training, you're on the bike training, the best trainers in the world, and they do all that they can, but to actually simulate race conditions is difficult. And I think the biggest reason for that, in my own personal opinion, we see these guys coming by here. This shot's not giving us a whole lot as far as who they are. They're coming by a little quick, but we know those are our XC1 guys. Now this will give us a little better view here. I actually know right where this camera is at. So that is... This is XC2 working their way through right now. Sam Evans still leading the way, and Josh Tuth in second. So look at that, Sammy Evans still leading the way. He was our whole shot rider in that XC2 class. So we got some more riders working their way through here. That looked to be, that's new numbers, new names. I did see that was Craig DeLong that just went by there. I did see the number 8 machine of Craig DeLong. So that's our Coastal Racing Husqvarna rider. There's one of our, I believe, one of our Reigns Racing riders. So we'll get these guys when they check in. We'll learn the numbers, and folks at home, bear with us. We're learning all the numbers as we go as well. There's the 717 machine. That's another one of our XC2 riders. So this section has really opened up a lot, Mikey. This is an all-new section. It had only ever been run by the bikes previously, and only a few times in the past 21 years that we've been coming here. It was a newer section. Well, they opened it up to the quads this year, and we blew it out. So now there's lines everywhere. This has, historically been more of kind of like an enduro tight section through these pines, but it's really starting to open up this year. The 336, I believe that machine is Ryder Lafferty, if I remember correctly. I remember that number from last year. So we're getting them one at a time. We're working our way through here. But all in all, the track really did shape up well. You can see those famous big buck roots. I mean, you talk about big buck, two things come to mind right off the bat. You get the roots and you get the square edge stuff. And I actually think, believe it or not, the moisture in the ground is kind of helping with the square edge stuff. It's kind of making the ground a little bit softer, so it has a little more give to it. But the roots, there's nothing you can do with those. This place has been ridden and ridden and ridden again, and even when they cut in new ground, those roots are just under the surface there. You get to them, and with that little bit of rain we had, I was talking to some of the morning race riders, and it was definitely getting slick out there, but all in all, they said great racing conditions.
It's a consensus I got as well. It seemed like the top was a little greasy to start things off, but man, by the time they were done with that 2-hour race, it seems like it's going to be tacking up pretty good for these guys in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these guys are going to put a show on for us. We talked about the mental and the physical preparation coming into round one, but one thing we haven't talked a whole lot about yet is kind of the smack talk. I mean, a lot of these guys, you got basically the last time we went racing was the end of October. So you've had the entire month of November, December, January, and most of February. So you've had basically 4 months for these guys in their heads to kind of prepare themselves in a way that a lot of guys, here comes our XC3 leaders on screen, having a hard time picking out those numbers there. But I did see one of them appeared to be, I believe, okay, could possibly have been the number 99 machine of Cody Barnes, and I think I saw the 37 of Jesse Ansley in there as well on the KTM. So I think those were 2 of our top 3 as they came through, but again, that is speculation. We couldn't quite catch the numbers. Those guys are going so fast on those little 125s out there, picking those things out. That's where those things really make their money, is the tight section.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, the trash talking and the mental preparation that comes into it is a big part of it. These guys have kind of all been sizing themselves up based on some off-season races. There's already been some enduros. There's been some other events that, these guys have had a chance to go head-to-head, some of them. And then obviously Caleb Russell racing out west already quite a few times, 3 times since the end of the 2017 season. So it's been an interesting off-season. A lot of things unknown. Thad Duvall made a post yesterday. Oh, here we got a rider that's already making some adjustments to his machine. Maybe he's making a suspension change there. Says, hey man, this thing just isn't working out for me right now.
He's getting towed.
Oh, what's it?
He's got the toe strap on there,
and
he says, hang on, don't tow me yet. I want to see if I can get this thing going.
Yep, he's going to give it that last final shot. Here we go, the 989 of Thad Duvall on the FMF PowerPoint. He is up and over top of the hill. Apologize for the screen pausing here, but that was Thad Duvall for sure in the lead. There is Ricky Russell. There is Josh Strang. Don't know who that was. Yeah.
But how about that, Johnny? It's like 1, 2, 3. There's a bit of a gap there up front with Thad, but the rest of the pack is just one right after another right there.
That was Corey Buttrick on the 121 machine. There we have Andrew DeLong on the 410 gas. Oh, DeLong is way sideways on the rocks up there. That hill climb is deceiving. These guys, it makes it look so easy on camera, but I can assure you guys that thing is vertical, and the rock face at the top is no joke. So if we can maybe keep this shot, we'll be able to see if we can catch the front number plates of our XC2 leaders, because those should be some of the next bikes that we have coming through. I'm sure we'll have some more XC1 riders working their way through, but look at the gap. Now this has opened up quite a bit. So we saw probably it looks like maybe our top 8 or 9 riders come through there, and that was all within probably a 20-second range amount of time there. But now as we're looking back, we got a big gap back to the rest of the XC1 class and also our XC2 guys. So it doesn't even look like the fans are getting excited yet. Now they are. I think we got a bike coming. Mr. Blue Sweatshirt. There we go. That was Grant Baylor right there. That is Josh Toth. So it looks like Toth has now taken back over the lead in that XC2 class. Not sure who that was behind him. Yeah.
Our guy in the blue sweater's got the best spot in the house.
Yeah, little difficult.
If that's your buddy out there in the blue shirt, somebody text him and say, hey, man, move to the left, like 1 foot.
Yeah, that'd be great. There is Mike Wachowski, the 282 beta machine. So one of the front runners in that XC2 class. These guys all motoring their way up that FMF PowerPoint hill climb. A little bit of rain on those rocks probably made it a little bit extra challenging this morning. Now we see the leaders coming by on BP Fuels Pro Row, so we're going to call them as we see them here, because with this we can actually see. So Thad Duvall leading the way, Stu Baylor in second, Trevor Bollinger in third.
Not even a second's difference.
And those guys are wheel to wheel. Apologize, folks. We're able to see what's going on here, so we're going to Josh Strang in fourth. Oh, Sipes and Ricky Russell pretty much wheel to wheel there. Corey Buttrick. Wow, these guys are all just absolutely wheel to wheel, basically back from that fourth place spot on back. They're just touching and rubbing into each other.
We've got a good race brewing here at Big Buck, man. That is exciting stuff. Johnny and I right now, we've got the front row seat to the pro pits, so that should be interesting as the day goes on. Hopefully we can get a camera shot in there and get some of these guys coming down the lane.
Yeah, so we got a rider paused at the top of the FMF PowerPoint hill climb. Not sure who that was, but you can see the fans just out in absolute droves this weekend. A huge rider turnout and a huge spectator turnout. It's absolutely just amazing how many people came out for this round one of GNCC racing for 2018.
Run.
Yeah. Now I think we got our XC2 riders
guys
coming through the BP Fuels Pro Row.
It looked like Toth was out in front, but I couldn't tell if he was behind somebody or maybe that was another XC1 rider.
I think that was Grant Baylor.
Okay.
Because it was a red plate, not a green.
Johnny can see him coming, I can see him going. So I get the back of the jersey, you've got the front number plate. So combined, we've got some good eyes on it.
Yeah, so this FMF PowerPoint, this is just a couple miles before the finish here, and we got some of our other XC2 riders working their way by. We should soon start seeing our XC3 riders work their way through the shot. I don't think we've seen any yet. Mikey Wayne stepping out of the booth here, trying to get a better view on these guys as they're working their way down VP Fuels Pro Row, trying to figure out exactly what we got going on here.
One thing you can say about Big Buck, the fans come in droves. We've got a whole slew of them right here on Pro Row.
There is our leader of our XC3 class, and it is the 99 of Cody Barnes leading the way in that FMF XC3 class. But look at these guys, nose to tail, all these 125s burning premix and burning up this Big Buck racetrack. The fans are going wild. They love the 125s. There's the 309 of Alex Teagarden, the Coastal Racing rider, giving his shot to the XC3 class this year. New to the class. Another one of our XC3 riders, I do believe. Not sure who that was there. Hard to catch the numbers.
I got me a cheat sheet, but they're going by so fast it's hard to figure out, decipher who's what number. The growing pains of round number one. Everybody changing classes, numbers, all that showing its face. Well, Johnny, let me ask you, man. So XC1 coming into this one, I don't know if you heard the pre-race report. You're probably out helping Becca, but the sound of Ricky Russell, hungry. Ricky believes he can get a win this year. Stu sounds like he is focused and ready for a great season. He wants to get some wins. I think these guys got enough of a taste of it this year. It's got them with all the confidence in the world coming into 2018. Obviously, Caleb's going to do what he does. Thad's going to do what he does. Who's your standout guy that can fight for a top podium spot out of that XC1?
Man, you know, like you said, I think based off of last season, and that's really all you can go off at this point, you know, Thad and Caleb were kind of on another level. Obviously, Stu came out really strong at round one and got the win and put in a heck of a ride. And then it seemed like things just, you know, I don't know if his preseason focus, you know, being that Stu was focused on 2 series last year and some of the other guys were really only focused on 1, if that kind of played a factor. But you could see as the year went on, he just wasn't able to keep that intensity and battle for those podium positions and wins like he was early in the season. Obviously some complications. I know he had some health issues there around round 5. He was still solid going fast, but just wasn't quite at that same level. But, you know, Stu is a preparer. He spent the winter, and, you know, if you follow him on social media, you know he was riding every single day. So definitely not a lack of seat time for Stu Baylor. Caleb Russell, obviously, trying some different stuff, racing out west, kind of round out his repertoire of exactly what it is that he can focus on doing. Thad Duvall, I know, has been doing a lot of cycling, a lot of riding. He's ready to go. I think the one guy, and as we see Thad Duvall on screen here, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna rider, hard on the gas, and I knew he was going to try and make a statement here at round 1. There is Stu Baylor, though, keeping him in check. Last year's winner here from round 1 at Big Buck in 2017. Get a little extra look at these guys. They're staying on screen a little longer. It almost looks like they're paused. But we should see our 3rd place rider coming by, which we believe to be Josh Strang. We're trying to get an update on scoring and trying to get, looks like that could be Corey Buttrick, I can tell by the head bob. He is not in 3rd place. We missed a couple, or unless things have changed, we missed a couple riders coming through there. But Corey's another rider that could really turn some heads this year. You know, he's been training really hard, working hard to get up there. He said he wants to get back up in the mix at GNCC's, and he's got a lot of great support this year. Yeah. But yeah, I think Ricky Russell would be my big, I guess, not even a surprise because he was a podium guy.
Oh, of course.
Ended up 3rd overall last year. Bitter battle down to the end between him and Thad for that number 2 at Ironman. But I think he's the one that could really turn some heads. You know, kind of a question mark coming into the season in terms of he seemed to lay low, stay off the radar. And then just before this last week, he made a post about basically all the work he's been putting in. Kind of maybe a little bit bolstering his own confidence and maybe calling these guys out, saying, hey, you know, I've been following you guys all on social media, but look at this.
How about that battle?
These two have spent a lot of time together this winter. There it is, folks. Josh Toth and Ben Kelly have been riding together under the guidance of Charlie Mullins and that FMF Factory KTM team. Ben Kelly getting a little bit of side support there from the Trail Jesters guy. But, you know, those guys are just absolutely killing it. They went 2-3 at the Enduro a few weeks ago. Overall, you know, and these are XC2 riders just absolutely out there shredding. And it looks like right now they are 1-2 in that class. Wouldn't be surprised if we see those two push up into a top spot for the overall by the time this one's over. And I think we actually had a chance to catch up with those guys just a little bit before the race here.
It's been great, really. It's I mean, this is the team to be on, like this is the premier team. So to be underneath this tent and just know I have the best equipment and the best team behind me, it's awesome. So it's kind of peace of mind, and I'm really looking forward to trying to get some results for them. That's the goal, is to get another championship before you have to move up, and hopefully do well in XC1 as well. But yeah, to get another championship would be awesome. It's been great, really. It's
So there you have it. Josh Toth, last year's dominant XC2 champion that really did just light the season on fire, absolutely killed it all year long. And now we see some of our other XC2 riders working their way through. There's one of the Teely Energy Racing guys. I don't know who that was there, but yeah, we've got these guys working their way by. This is kind of our just outside the top 10 in that XC2 Pro Lights class. But yeah, Toth and Kelly, 1-2. Those guys have been really working hard down at Ranch Russell. Been checking in with them a couple days a week. Been seeing what they're doing, and you know, Charlie Mullins adding a lot of structure to their program, their training, their thinking, their mental preparation, and it's showing here early because those guys are up front and putting the hammer down for sure. There we see looks like Trevor Barrett, the 945 Yamaha rider. Looks like, I could be wrong, but I think that might have been Grant Baylor that just came by. So we'll have to check and see once we can get timing and scoring.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the live scoring up, having some struggles with it. Not sure what's going on there. Keeps automating me to the morning race.
See what we can get here. Yeah, it's still showing me the morning race as well. Here we see a shot of EP Fuels Pro Row. So the guys have just come by here a little while ago, but now they're starting. It looks like some of the teams starting to prep for the for the pit stops that'll be coming up here soon in a 3-hour race, we know we're going to see these guys in here at least once, if not twice. So the team's starting to prepare those rigs, prepare the fuel jugs, prepare the goggles, everything that they need to keep these guys in top running condition. And it's absolutely essential for these guys to be informed and also prepared when their riders are coming in, so they can give them the necessary accoutrements to get them through the rest of this long race. So we should start seeing pit stops, I'd say, here probably next lap. We'll see some riders pulling in. Obviously, lap 1, everybody did bypass the pits. We'll get, once we get some lap times here and get some results, we'll go ahead and get a speculation. Rodney Tomlin joining us back here in the booth. Rodney, pretty soon we'll be able to work up exactly how long we think this race is going to go, how many laps it's going to be. But we got a little bit until we're ready for that. We got to gather some more information, bust out the calculators, get the abacus going, and all of the appropriate devices to calculate everything. Rodney back in here after calling the starts, and exciting action here early, Rodney.
Yeah, it is. Oh. No, it is. It is great excitement. I've been listening to the call, watching what's been going on here, and I think you guys, one thing that rings true as anything is the unknown variables, what we don't know, and what we, you come in not really knowing what to expect. A lot of the trash talk that you talk about, a lot of the social media stuff, and just a lot of speculation. It certainly has us kind of on pins and needles, if you will, wondering what really is going to happen out here. And last year we were surprised. We wonder, are we going to see those types of surprises again this year? We're still early in on this one, and I'm sure there's some surprises that have taken place, but yet to come. I think there's some more things that will be like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of those things is kind of, Stu Baylor coming out with that dominant performance last year at round 1 here at Big Buck, and now he is right on the rear wheel. This is bike day, not quad day. He's on the rear wheel of our leader, and he is right there in that second place position, stalking Thad Duvall. Thad Duvall, our leader. Those guys are 1-2 running nose to tail, so it does not look like at any point Stu Baylor has any intentions of letting him go, but always exciting things, always new things happening here at round 1 at the VP Racing Fuels Big Buck. And we're actually joined by Miss Spartanburg, Daviana, is it Bunch?
Yes,
Bunch, okay.
Bunch.
Sorry, Davia Bunch. And how does it feel to be out here today, getting to take in all this excitement for you? And is this your first experience with GNCC racing?
This is my first experience with GNCC, but it's been honestly such a joy. I was telling Mr. Henry earlier that this has been my favorite thing that I've done all year, and I've heard so many good things about it, and to come out here and seeing what you have going on, it's just been amazing how many people come out and enjoy and support this sport. It's been incredible.
Well, obviously with you being from Spartanburg, Miss Spartanburg,
yes.
Have you known about this event for many years, or was this kind of the first exposure to it of any kind?
This specific event, this has been my first exposure to it, but my aunt grew up right in Union County, and we'd go four-wheeling and mudding all throughout my childhood. When I was in high school, it was a big thing right before our rivalry game that we'd go mudding in our overalls and come to the game all muddy, so I feel right at home here.
There you go. That's great. I love it. Go mudding. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the way a lot of people put it that don't get a chance to go out and do it. But we go mud running back home. So.
Oh yeah.
But mudding, that's awesome. So enjoying your experience here. Now I got to ask you, have you wanted to climb on one of these and take a trip around the track yet?
Most definitely. I was just talking about how fun it would be just to try the track by myself. I don't need anyone else around me, but just by myself, maybe with like a paramedic on the side and a trainer on the other side, maybe add a few extra wheels. It'll be a joy.
We'll get you an ATV. You'll come on a Saturday sometime.
We could even get her in a UTV and just take her for a partial lap after it's over, just so she could get an experience of it.
That would be an experience for sure. There's no doubt.
You can see just how rough this place gets and what these guys are going through.
I'm
Guys and
sure.
gals are going through.
They train like Olympic athletes, I heard. It's amazing. I was talking to just a couple of them earlier and how they bring their own sports equipment for them to warm up before the race.
Yeah, it's really, it's very scientific, very high tech. You think it's just riding motorcycles in the woods or ATVs in the woods, and it's so much more. And I know you've got so much more going on too. I know it's nice to be out here representing and stuff, but Miss Spartanburg has some responsibilities, not only from representation standpoint, but I mean you've got to represent. And how are you doing that?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Spartanburg, South Carolina, so it's actually such an honor to be representing the town. Right now I'm at school at the University of South Carolina, and what this organization does is it actually gives me scholarship money, so I don't have to graduate with student loans. So I'm working to graduate debt-free and hopefully go to law school. So with my platform, while getting those scholarships, I'm also working on my personal platform, which is Be the Match, Become a Hero, and I partner with the Be the Match organization, which is a national bone marrow registry. And so we're working to help find matches for people who are looking to get bone marrow transplants, so they can find their cure to blood cancer.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you have a personal attachment to this cause?
Yes, I do. So growing up, my mom was diagnosed with leukemia, and it took her a couple years before she actually found her match. And it's really hard to find matches for blood cancers because it has to be so specific, and if somebody can find one match, it's amazing. But two matches, that's almost unheard of, and her match came from a young guy all the way across the world.
Wow.
So yeah, what people don't know is that 90% of matches and more come from students who are ages 18 to 24.
Really?
And so it's students my age who don't know about it and don't know that they can become a hero and they can actually save someone's life. So just being a representative for that as Miss Spartanburg and on my college campus has been just an incredible experience.
Now, how could I get more information about something like this?
Yeah, so you can go to bethematch.com and you can look to see if they have a registry for anywhere in your area. Or you can actually, if you want to be on the registry, you can request your own kit. And it's really easy. You just swab your cheeks a couple of times and you send them in the mail. No pricks, no needles, nothing. Or we have actually a 5K coming up in April to raise money in Charleston for the organization as well. But they have a lot more information on bethematch.com.
Wow, that's great. Well, Davia, thanks for taking the time to stop by, and I really support your platform. I think it's a great platform, and I figured there might be some personal correlation there with that, and honestly, I kind of see it. I have that in my family. I've seen that, and that Be the Match thing. I think that is perfect. I think, and if it's for somebody that's sitting around thinking, how can I make a difference in the world? How can I save somebody's life? You know, that's a simple way to do it right there. It really is.
Yeah, and being on the registry doesn't mean that you have to become a donor. It just simply puts your name and your information out there, and if someone needs it, you always have the opportunity to accept or decline. So just taking that initial step, 5 seconds to swab your cheeks can really save someone's life.
It can. It most certainly can. Well, thank you for being a part of it. We look forward to seeing you on the podium here in just a little bit. Good luck with Miss South Carolina, and also if you make it there, to Miss America.
Thank you.
All righty. That's Davia Bunch, and she is Miss Spartanburg. Grew up in Spartanburg, and of course here with us this weekend. She is going to be presenting trophies and such on the podium a little later today. So rolling through this one, looks like we're taking a little peek at the Monster Mile, a part of the Monster Mile. I'm sure that's not a mile's worth of track that we're looking at right there.
Yeah, that's the valley there at Monster Mile. It kind of starts a little bit before that and works its way through, and that's kind of the valley that exits from there and goes back to the finish, kind of comes back. Once we see him there at that Monster Energy signs on top of that hill, from there it's not too far to get back to the finish.
That's for sure. And of course, as we watch here now, we're looking at the FMF PowerPoint. And the FMF PowerPoint, tell me a little bit about this, Johnny. You had a chance to experience it firsthand there yesterday, and we talked, we talked about it with LW there yesterday. This, again, one of those hills on TV that doesn't look anything nearly as much of what it is as it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. And that was what we were talking about just a little bit ago there was, this hill, it really just doesn't do it justice when you're looking at it from this TV camera angle. But now you can kind of see guys starting to struggle. They're spinning at the top there. They're crashing on the rocks. This hill is 100% completely and totally vertical. There is no degrees to it. It's 90. It's straight up and down. And at the top, there's a rock section that now that we've gotten some water on it with that little bit of rain we had, it's really slick. You can see those tree roots. So basically you have to get all your speed at the bottom of the hill, because if you try and accelerate when you get to the top, you're just going to spin out and make a mess. So a lot of guys you can see opting to go around there.
That's what I was going to say. What's the options here?
Yeah, the option there, you guys actually have two option around lines. The one to the far left goes all the way out and around. It's a long way. And then there's another one. If you go down, if you go to the second line, it goes up and then comes up the backside, kind of where you can see those spectators in the background standing there. So it's probably about 8 to 10 seconds if you take the second line around, and probably 15 seconds or more longer if you take the longest line around. So obviously the most direct route straight up the hill, that's the way, you know, we're going to see most of our XC1 riders and many riders going, and that saves them quite a bit of time. Here we see the guy out front, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Thad Duvall, looking good, leading the way. There is the 514 of Stu Baylor, and look at this. The number 1 machine has crept his way into the view. So now it's a 3-rider battle for the lead with, looks to be Trevor Bollinger still there in that 4th place.
All right, now here, I don't know, have you talked to Trevor yet? Have you seen Trevor this year?
I have.
Man, what an amazing transformation that young man has made. I mean, he looks so much different. He seems so much different than he did only a few months ago at the end of 2017 in October there at the Ironman GNCC. And I'll tell you, seeing him ride like this in the early part of the race and be that close to those front 3 that are so blistering fast, it has to lend me to believe that we might have another player in the action. You know, not a lot of surprises for me. I expected Thad Duvall, I expected Caleb Russell, and I expected Stu Baylor to be up front. One rider that I'm not seeing a whole lot of just yet in that mix, totally up front, but Ricky Russell, I expect that we're going to see a lot out of him. If not today, this season's going to be, I think, a good breakout season for him.
Yeah, a little bit difficult for us, and there is Ricky Russell, so we're seeing him now, but he is quite a bit back further than what we had seen him previously. I know we see, there is Grant Baylor, I believe, coming by, and that's getting back towards the tail end of that XC1 class.
Now, Grant, there's an interesting story. Grant actually picked up his team ride with Teely Energy with his brother only about 3 weeks ago. He said he's only been riding for about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks now, and the reason is he had shoulder surgery this past off season. There we got
Josh Toth, the number 1 FMF KTM, and there is the 530 of Ben Kelly still flying in formation. Not sure who that rider is there in 3rd, but that is, it appears to be a Moose rider on a Husky. So I'm gonna assume that's one of the Coastal Racing guys. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to really get a number on any of these guys, so it's making it a little bit difficult to call. I do know that is the Mohawk, the 1-2-3 of Austin Lee on that. Not sure what his team name is this year, but if we look here, I can tell you, I know he was previously with the JCR Honda, still on the Honda, but the 1-2-3 of Austin Lee out of Bedford, Indiana. This year, it is M&E Honda Fly Racing Maxxis Tire. So he is out there in that 4th place spot. We'll see once we can get this live scoring link up and rolling. We'll see if we can't figure out exactly who that 3rd place rider is in XC2. We could be the 8 machine of Craig DeLong. It could be the 117 of Pascal Rocknicker.
That's what I was thinking.
But
Pascal.
it didn't look to be him. He's a taller, thinner rider. It's kind of a stockier rider that we've got in the 2nd or in that 3rd place spot, and it also could be an XC1 guy. So we know I did see Corey Buttrick up near the front, and there he is, Corey Buttrick, the 121 machine. That is, he's about 5th or 6th place in that XC1 class. A great return to action for Corey. Didn't race the whole season with us last year, focused on some other things, said he really wanted to get back to his roots. He's been working hard in the offseason. There is the 212 NFAB Ampro Yamaha of Ricky Russell, and don't know, I think that's Grant Baylor. Having a hard time catching numbers on these guys. But again, we're back in that tight pine section that we had talked about a little bit earlier today. Those roots are just absolutely brutal, making it tough on those guys. I think actually Mikey Waynes is out front here. He's going to be our spotter, try and get us some intel. And there is your XC2 leader, Josh Toth. Looks like he's opened it up just a couple of seconds, and that is Rocknicker.
Yeah.
So the 117 of Pascal Rocknicker. I don't know if we're pronouncing his name right, but
it's Rocknicker. Yeah, that's how he, and I said it back the same way he said it. He said, that's right, that's close. I was like, I also said Rockenecker, and he said, yes, that's close, that's good.
Okay. All right.
So, however, as long as we're Pascal, we'll just call him Pascal.
Well, he is the 3rd place rider in that XC2 class, leading the way, Josh Toth. 2nd place, the 530 Trail Jesters KTM rider of Ben Kelly, and then 3rd place, Pascal Rocknicker. 4th is Austin Lee on the 123 M&E Honda, and one rider that we're kind of trying to keep an eye open for that started like a bat out of heck was Jason Thomas on that number 111 Monster Racing Kawasaki, the man that just never retires. He was retired again, final, no coming back. And there is, looks like Rocknicker's teammate, that is the number 8 of Craig DeLong, one of our top XC2 riders from last year, and he's back up there again. looks like the 314 of Grant Baylor, so he's a little ways back there. He's back looks like about 5th place in XC2, but he's actually obviously riding the XC1 class, so probably just outside the top 10 or 12 overall would be Baylor. We'll get checked in when we get some live results, maybe get some lap times, see if we can figure out for you guys at home exactly how many laps we're going to be looking at, which at that point we can kind of start discussing fuel strategies and all that kind of stuff. So many variables here in GNCC racing, and it never gets boring, that's for sure.
It does, Dana. I know a lot of the riders coming into this race not really for sure how to totally prepare. We have forecast of about 70% chance of showers during today's race, and I think somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock is whenever our highest percentage of precipitation is, and then it dives off about 3 or 4 o'clock. So toward the end of the race, it should be leaving out of the area. But right now, so far, we have only seen a few sprinkles since the start of this race, and weather hasn't been an issue. The overcast skies, I think, are offering a great opportunity for these guys. Here comes the leaders through the finish line. There is Thad Duval and Stu Baylor still running 1 and 2. Johnny Gallagher as they make their way through the Amsoil chicanes to wrap up this lap of racing. And still, again, not a lot of surprises there, to be honest with you. And I'm really looking for those surprises to come as we roll on through the rest of this race. And then again, I might be surprised by no surprises. It might be cut and dry day today. But
well, there is Lane Michael. That is the other Husqvarna rider we're trying to figure out who it is. So that's the 523 of Lane Michael, followed by the 264 of Ryan Sipes. Did we miss Caleb Russell? Did he check in?
I didn't see him go by, but that doesn't mean that we...
All right, so we lost Caleb Russell.
Stand by.
He was 3rd place, right on our 2 leaders. There was a bike that came through there. Unfortunately, our live scoring not working, so we don't know for sure. There was 2 bikes actually that came through, but we believe they may have been lap riders. Here we see the 121 of Corey Buttrick. We're trying to count, but we're missing some guys here. So these are the leaders. This is the order. We're not exactly sure the position. So it's we're trying to get an update and see if Caleb Russell has... We missed him on screen. Here we see the 212 of Ricky Russell, that NFAB Ampro Yamaha. These guys should be checking through the VP Fuels Pro row here soon, at which time we can probably get a better update of exactly what we see physically in front of us. Now we see the number 1, but that is the green plate, so that is Josh Toth there. That's the leader in XC2, taking a look over his shoulder, and who does he see? Oh yeah, his buddy, Ben Kelly, the number 530. These guys are absolutely flying in formation, front wheel to rear wheel, and it looks like they have shaken the 117 machine of Pascal Rocknicker, but only by about 5 seconds as Pascal checks in behind him there. These guys are really making a show of it. The top 3 pretty much wheel to wheel, as our good buddy Bjorn Hamrick used to say. We got some serious heavy action going on in the XC2 class. Also that XC1 class. Here we see 4th place in our XC2 class, the 123 of Austin Lee, out there putting in a good charge, running hard here early and keeping the leaders in check. We should see the leaders coming by here in the VP Fuels Pro row within the next minute or so. We're going to see if we can get you guys an exact update.
Well, I just got off the radio with the track crew, and according to them, we must have missed him because they said he's still in the number 3 spot out there. So evidently in one of those camera swings, he was a little closer to the action, or just somehow or another got missed by us visually. Maybe we just weren't looking at that particular time. But according to the track crew, Caleb is still out there and still rolling in the number 3 spot. So we still got that good battle shaping up. And as great as it is right now, the intensity of that one has not even begun, because we know how Baylor can ride up front like that, that's for sure.
Speaking of Baylors, here's the other one. Grant Baylor working his way by. Looks to be outside the top 10 somewhere.
And I was talking about that a few moments ago, and some other riders came by, but he had that shoulder surgery, and he said that, he started riding and really hasn't been training or anything, but he's a little weak in the shoulders. Can't even really do a push-up right now. But he felt like he still needed to be out here on this bike and getting bike fit. And he says, I'm not really expecting a whole lot out of today, he says, but I'm hoping if the progression continues the way it is, within the next couple of rounds, I should be knocking on the door for a top 5 and maybe a podium.
Yeah, I mean, definitely once you get kind of stronger as the race goes. Okay, here we go. Here comes the leaders. Thad Duval, Stu Baylor, and then about a 3-second gap to the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. 4th place, Trevor Bowman, right on Russell's rear wheel. So those guys are, as we're watching the FMF PowerPoint, Austin Lee up and over the top clean. That is 4th place in our XC2 Pro lights as we last saw them running. So the top 4 in XC1 as they run are Thad Duvall, 2nd place Stu Baylor, 3rd place Caleb Russell, and 4th place Trevor Bollinger. And those guys are pretty much wheel to wheel with a slight gap back to Caleb. There in the 3rd place spot. Ryan Sipes coming in, looked like he grabbed something from the pits there, but was able to get around Lane Michael. So that's your 5th and 6th place rider, followed by Josh Strang, the 114 in 7th. So that is your top 7 riders in the XC1 class now checked through. Looks to be Jordan Ashburn, possibly, could have been, that just came by. So that would be our 8th place rider in XC1 came by. Looked like a slightly unfamiliar number there.
They all look like blurs going by for me. You're calling off those numbers. Like, how can you see that?
Well, I'm not actually seeing the numbers. I'm seeing the riding styles, and that's why Ashburn kind of threw me off. Still not used to him on the beta. There's Corey Buttrick in the 9th place spot, the number 121 machine on that GTR Husqvarna, I believe, is his team name. We'll look him up here in a minute.
He's KR4.
KR4 Husqvarna. There is the 212 of Ricky Russell.
They are sponsored by GTR.
So Ricky Russell, there we see it on screen. So now we're seeing the same thing. Pause, a little extra look at him there. Ricky Russell heading into the woods, and that NFAB Ampro Yamaha, I believe, rounding out the top 10 in XC1. So definitely not where we expected Ricky to be. We had talked about, we thought we'd see him up there battling in a top 3 spot. Whoa, look at the XC2 guys coming through. Josh Toth leading the way, Ben Kelly hot on his heels. And those guys are stopping for some drink bottles. They're going to get rehydrated. Looks like Kelly's got something hanging off, like half his jersey's gone. That yellow or green blur that we just saw come by was Rocknicker there in the 3rd place spot. And as we look back, the next rider we should see should be the 123 of Austin Lee.
Wow, man, I am really super stoked at what we're seeing unfold here today, Johnny Gallagher. As we watch this racing, it is not just 1 or 2 guys battling out there, maybe for a lead position. We've got 4 guys battling for the XC1 class, and we've got, 4 guys battling for the XC2, and they're all basically within inches of each other, just a few feet of each other, and this is going to be getting better, I think, as the day progresses. These guys, everybody seems to be riding at a fever pitch pace, but I don't know that anybody's pushing the ragged edge just yet. It's almost as if they're kind of still waiting to see who's going to pull out the next card, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's Mikey Waynes has been out front here kind of checking out some of the action, getting the bird's eye view of how things are going on.
I'll be completely honest. I don't know what's more impressive, watching XC1 and XC2 roll by, or the fact that Johnny knew exactly who they were well before I could even see them. That's incredible. No, impressive stuff. I think the biggest thing I noted, Husqvarna, Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, had the sign out for, I believe it was Strang, said Sipes in position 7, go get him. So he's pushing hard on him, just trying to catch up, make up some ground. Good to see Ryan Sipes out there. He's got the pit set up right next to what used to be his pit. Good. So, I don't know, just awesome to see Sipes out here. Sounds like he's going to be running, 4 rounds with us this year?
He's got plans to run 4 rounds of GNCC. He's going to be doing some National Enduro, I think some Sprint Enduro. He's going to do straight rhythm. He's going to do some motocross and also some flat track and TT.
That's pretty cool.
I thought so. He is really expanding his horizons, so to speak. He says, he's still continuing to have fun to ride motorcycles. He's not necessarily going after championships, but he says he's given his sponsors the best exposure that he possibly can, and being as talented as he can, he's going to be a star in every one of those rounds that he rolls in. So he's going to a lot of exposure to that. And speaking of Ryan Sipes, we did have a chance to catch up with him as we headed into this weekend's race.
Yeah, last season was good. It was up and down a little bit. Like I said, I'd be on the podium and then I'd have a bad one, and then I got the win, so that was cool. That was one of my goals, to win a race. So this year, I'm not doing all of them. I'm only doing 4. So the 4 I do, I want to do really well, obviously. But I'm prepared. I'm fit. Bike's good. All my sponsors have been great, and I'm really looking forward to it. I want to fight for a win today. At least be on the podium, and have a lot of fun. Yeah, so I'm kind of on my own this year, with the help of a ton of great sponsors. I mean, Rockstar, Liat, Maxxis, and Husky are my main 4 that have really stepped up to help me to be able to do this stuff. So, and all my other ones, I mean, you can see them all. There's a ton that it takes to go racing. So I'm really excited for that. But what that's allowed me to do is kind of do what I want schedule-wise. And for me, my goal is to get my sponsors exposure. So I can do that better with a mixed schedule than I can just sticking to one. So you'll be seeing me at a lot of different things this year. A lot of I'll do 4 of these, 4 pro motocross, all the sprint enduros, 3 flat track events, straight rhythm again, some 125 races. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, last season was.
Well, there you have it, right from the horse's mouth himself. And you know, honestly, there's not a lot of people that could pull off that kind of season that Ryan Sipes can. And the great thing about it is everyone that he goes into, every genre that he goes into, he's going to be competitive in every one of them. And he could be a contender for a win even. That's the amazing and cool thing about that, I think.
Yeah, and you heard him say it. He said, I'd love to get a win, at the very least a podium. Here in 2017, round 1, he did make podium. He was he was 3rd behind Stu and Caleb. So certainly possible. Can he do it again here in 2018? I mean, simply put, Ryan Sipes is just darn good on a dirt bike, period. I don't really care what it is. He is good.
I wish you could have seen your face whenever you said you look like a little boy. The stars in your eyes. He is darn good. You're absolutely right. And like I said, I mean, there's not many people that could pull that kind of a thing off, a feed off where they could go. I mean, that's, you know, Ricky Carmichael's a guy that could do that, and Travis Pastrana, we've seen him do that past at Bike Week. He raced about everything he could race at Bike Week one year. So, yeah, man, when Ryan sits in a league like that, you know that he's been somebody special in the off-road and motorcycle racing world for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a little tougher to keep up with things here today as far as the actual top 20 overall, but we are trying to keep up to date with the top 5 out here anyway, keep things scored. But I got to say, not really surprised, but a little bit maybe at the way this is starting to pan out. I kind of thought that maybe somebody would get out front and they would start running away. One rider would try to chase him down, and that would separate the field, and then we'd have a little battle back behind it, but that's not been the case whatsoever. Thad's got out there. Stu's got out there, Caleb's got out there, and the really cool thing about it is I think that only in his sophomore season, the maturity that Trevor Bollinger is showing on the Johnny Campbell Racing Honda just blows me away. And not only his riding, but just talking with him, the maturity that I was able to note while talking to him prior to race. I mean, he's almost like a different person. He's the same. Well, let's put it this way. His personality is very enhanced from what it was, and there's a lot more confidence that he exudes now than in the past.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that stood out to me in the interview you had with him this morning was he said after Ironman he had to do some soul searching. He had to dig down deep, and he changed his workout regimen, changed everything, training, everything, to the point that he even cut his hair. He cut that long hair off, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. I look to see, before this season's up, he's going to make some podiums. Oh, yeah. I really believe it.
Oh, I believe that is the case. There's no doubt about that. I honestly believe, given the right circumstances, that he might be able to pull out a win or two. I have to tend to think that this year is going to be a little bit different. I mean, there may be some domination, but I don't think it's going to be one dominator. I think we're going to have a couple of people that are, maybe even 3, that are kind of dominating the sport. We'll have, in my opinion, in my speculation, I'm expecting 3 guys that are going to be the guys that could do this. And of course, it's going to be led by Caleb Russell. At the end of the season is going to be very exciting if what I'm envisioning is going to happen. And honestly, watching this first part of this Big Buck GNCC, I'm already excited about what the rest of the year holds.
Seeing these guys working up that FMF PowerPoint.
Well, we're going to go to a replay here at the FMF PowerPoint. Of course, things are a little different in a field section, actually, so we didn't catch that live on camera, but we're going to go back and take a look at that and let you know some of the changes. And there's Stu Baylor now out front of the 989 of Thad Duvall. So we got a lead change out there.
There we go.
Look at that, and look how close they still are. And now, this is kind of what happened. There's Caleb Russell. Look at that. Trevor Bollinger.
Yeah, just talking about him.
Whoa, and Bollinger. Look at that. He's going on Russell right now. Did he just make that?
I think he made the pass right there, going into that last turn right there behind into the wood section.
Was that Bollinger passing Russell?
I believe it was.
Wow, that was That was now step up another level right there, people. It might get better than what I expected. There might be 4 players in this one this year. Don't count out Ricky Russell yet either.
Oh, that's very true. Ricky Russell, what with the win there in Snowshoe, podium regular, really. So yeah, he's another one. It is. I'm so excited for this season. Round 1, this is incredible. We've got great racing action here. The top 5 guys or top 4 guys at the very least, all right in the thick of things in this one.
There's the 116 machine. That is one of our FMF XC3 riders, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken? Yeah, I am mistaken. That's not one of them. But in with us here, of course, pitting out of the Yamaha pits, it looks like. But I thought we might have some pro riders, but I thought this seems a little out of place. They just went through a few minutes ago. So we got some amateur guys and some of the other guys that's a part of the pro team's going to be stopping in the pits and getting their go-go juice and things like that. Their BP Racing Fuel, making their power out there. Speaking of which, big shout out to BP Fuels this weekend, as those folks actually donating a gas jug, to every class winner here this weekend. So whenever you win, you pick up your plaque, you get a jug as well. And I think that anybody that's ever used those VP race jugs, gas jugs, know that they are certainly a great ticket to have around the house. Even not just racing, but around the house, man. I love them. They're so much easier. You get the big hose coming out of them.
Those things have multiple purposes out at Redbud, as long as they're clean.
I can only imagine. I can on Redbud, for sure. Now, look here. Look at this. I'm not going to say this hill is deteriorating, but I want you to take a look at the condition of this hill right now, Mikey, and at the base of this hill. Look how much more churned up this dirt looks, and look at that single rut that's coming into that hill climb right there. It's almost like if you're in a certain line, you're going to be stuck going up that hill whether you want to or not.
That was one of the things Johnny was talking about at the race start, was these roots. He said with the rain, the dirt and the mud, that's going to relax a little bit and tack up. He's like, but these roots, they don't go away at Big Buck. They will reach up and grab you and take you down. And we're seeing it right there as this race wears on. And once we get closer to that 3-hour mark, it's just going to continue to pull those roots to the top of that soil.
I just fingers and arms sticking out at you, but yes, man, look at the woods. I mean, traditionally when we've come here in the past, we've had the leaves on, and it's been so hard to see. But, man, what a magnificent property here.
It really is.
And I've ridden this one. I didn't get a chance to ride this one this year, but most years I try to go out and ride some trails. And this is one of the ones that I really like to go out and ride. This was one of, when I first started doing these on a regular basis back in 2002, some of the best memories I have come from right here at Big Buck. And it happens at night, tearing down trail, cleaning up trail, believe it or not. But just great memories. There's Josh Strain coming through now, this section of woods, it looks like. Looks like he might have some company coming.
I did see Thad out in front of Strang. Couldn't see what else was behind that. Working through some lappers now, getting in the mix of things.
Well, Thad, I hope, is still up there way out front of Strang with that battle up front with those other guys. Yeah, it's tough to tell. I'm not,
it is.
I mean, thankfully, Caleb Russell's still number 1.
Yeah.
Thad Duvall still 989. Josh Strang still 114. Past that,
it's all mixed up.
You got Stu still 514.
That's true.
And Grant 314. But, I mean, these other guys, where they get to change their numbers, their top 10 numbers when they have a top 10 number like that, I think that's pretty cool. So once we get savvy to that, it'll be a little easier to pick these guys out. There's your leader of the XC2 Pro Lights, XC2 250 Pro class, I guess is what we call that now. That's Josh Toth, and he's still got company coming in there, it looks like.
Him and Ben Kelly been fighting each other all day long. And speaking of Thad Duvall out there doing his thing right now at Big Buck, and we actually had a chance to catch up with Thad before today's race.
Yeah, just a little nervous. I think everybody gets a little nervous for the first round because you don't really know where you're at. And I know I've been busting my butt the last 2 months. I've been in Florida for a while, so I feel more prepared than I ever have been. I felt like I was super strong last year, and I feel like I'm even better this year. So I'm super excited to get the day started. You know, it rained a little bit already, so hopefully it doesn't get too sloppy out there. But you know, either way, I want to go out and try to win today, and hopefully it'll be a good start.
Well, Thad out doing what he wants to do, and I think from process of elimination, we may have figured that might have been Lane Michael, XC1 Pro Class rookie, just ahead of Josh Strang out there just a few moments ago.
I think you're right, but good to hear from Thad, regardless. I tell you what, I don't know if you followed him much on Instagram, but the Nerf war he has declared with Nerf guns. Have you seen this?
You know, I caught something. I caught a piece of that. I haven't been following it or anything. Has it escalated?
Oh, it's escalated. The last one I saw was before he came out here to Big Buck. He had a duffel bag that was just chock full of an arsenal of Nerf guns. So all I'm saying, I don't know that anything will happen on the podium if he gets there, but just keep your head on a swivel if you're down there at the podium.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't go back and listen and watch these replays or anything, so I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I'm going to get a sniper Nerf gun.
There you go.
And when he gets on the podium, I'm just going to I'm going to pop him off of there.
I may have sent Maggie a message on Instagram and said, hey, look, you got to get some payback. Because most of the videos are Thad going after Maggie.
Yeah.
You know, pop her a couple times. So I messaged her. I said, look, when he gets on the podium this year, we'll have some Nerf guns ready for you, and you just let it rain. Just make it rain on the guy. So it's coming, Thad. It's coming, man.
Oh, that'd be so great. I can just see the podium. Oh, that'd be great. So here we are. We're still out the FMF PowerPoint, and I'm going to check and see if we can get some updates on this timing and scoring just yet. But regardless, we're visually watching here, and still two extremely intense battles that are going on.
And how about Trevor Bollinger? We were touching on him, just talking about his offseason and the different mindset, and then we get a live shot of him making a pass around Caleb Russell, working into a top podium spot, talking about, hey, I think we're going to see this guy make some podiums, and here we are, round one, and he's right there in the thick of things.
If he rides like that, he's going to do more than make podiums.
Oh, yeah.
Man, can you imagine how great of a foreseer that Johnny Campbell would feel like he was?
Yeah.
I mean, obvious, man. I mean, the kid, Trevor, was a great pick whenever. I mean, it was a great union, and I don't think that it could have come along at any better time for his program, and I don't think it could have come along at any better time for Johnny Campbell. I think both those guys came together, that team and that individual came together at the exact time that they needed each other the most, I think, and that was to introduce JCR Racing and get them into GNCC Racing in a big way. And then, of course, that factory and type support that that Trevor's getting behind JCR Racing and stuff, that has given him the confidence and the advice and obviously the mentorship that Johnny's given himself to Trevor has really helped out a whole lot. And whatever has happened between the day after Ironman last year and now, certainly a big transformation for the kid. He said, I changed everything else. I changed my diet. I changed my practice regimen. I changed my workout regimen. Why not change my hair?
Yeah.
Why not?
New year, new me.
Doesn't look like he doesn't look like it.
It amazes me. I think you could kind of see it on his body language, his facial expressions last year. It was his rookie season. You know, he was coming off, an XC2 championship. And I think that probably does something to an athlete mentally. When you're used to coming out race after race, being top dog, you know, you making the podium at the very least, and then the next year to come out and be like, man, can I get this thing figured out? Can I get this thing whipped? Well, rookie season was last year. This year, totally different.
I'm going to say this, and I'd have to go back and look at some of the records, but I think that overall, on a consistency basis, out of all the rookies that I've seen, top rookies that I've seen that have made that transition in the short time we've been doing it from XC2 to XC1, I have to think, here come our leaders right there. Tell us what's going on there, Mikey.
The old Monster Miles, what they're moving their way through now. I did not see Stu, Caleb, Trevor Bollinger. There you go. There's your racing order. Maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds separating them at the most.
Where is that at? Did we see him come down through there?
Didn't quite see who that was right there. That would have been our fourth place rider. We need our expert eyes of Johnny Gallagher in here.
Well, very interesting to say the least at the changes that we're seeing transpire and take place here. But watching right now, the Monster Mile number 7, one of the longest miles on the track, not necessarily in length, but in cruelty, I think. There is Josh Strain checking in now. Josh, he's moved into what looks like maybe close to, if not a solid top 5 position now.
I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
I said I'm thinking that Josh is close to a top 5, if not a solid top 5 ride right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's been working his way up there. Chasing him earlier, he was chasing Sipes down, so he's making some progress. Should be getting a look at the XC2 guys coming through here pretty soon.
Was that Lane Michael we just saw coming in there on the 523 a few moments ago? That would make sense because he and Josh were kind of wheel to wheel the last time that we had saw them.
Camera pausing for us.
Well, I could have swore that was a Kawasaki whenever it drove into that ravine. It came out of Husqvarna. I don't know how that worked.
Eyes are playing tricks on us here.
I was trying to see who that Cowie was. By the way, we want to welcome out Kawasaki with us. They bring out the support truck, the Team Green support truck, to about 5 events this year, and the Big Buck GNCC is one of those. And they're also fielding a support ride with Jason Thomas, whom we thought had disappeared, or not necessarily disappeared, but had retired from competition. But another opportunity arose for UKJT, so he jumped all over it, and he's back out there putting the laps in for our friends at Kawasaki. We do want to welcome Kawasaki aboard here in 2018 and all the Kawasaki support they bring to the GNCC Racing Nation. Going to be joined now, looks like, by our good friend there, Mr. Steve Hatch, as he makes his way in now. And, of course, Steve has, I'm sure, got a lot of insight. We just got word that Jason Thomas is actually out of this and pulled off with a leg injury. Mikey, see if you can go track that down and get that information. And we'll welcome Steve Hatch to the booth here. Go ahead and take his headphone set. This one seems to be a little loud for some reason. So...
like the monster is.
So Mikey heading out there as we say hello and welcome to 2018 to Steve Hatch, former GNCC great and now mentor to many up and rising stars.
Thanks, Rodney. It's great to be here and around the GNCCs. You know, it's one of those series that you never really leave once you have that passion your whole life. So it's fun to see all these racers and now see their kids fast also.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy. But you know, one of your old nemesis is back. We didn't see him here last year, but he is back. Fred Andrews.
Yeah, yep. He's with the Gas team. And, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think so too. And glad to have Fred back. It almost seemed weird not having him around in the pit someplace the last year or so. So good to have Fred Andrews back with us and the Gas team. So what's been going on in Steve Hatch's world? What have you seen? Well, there is Josh Toth. He is still leading that XC2 class, and he is still got a little bit of company, but it looks like Josh might be stretching this one out just a little bit, Steve. What have you noted out there?
Yeah, yep, there's Pascal. So I was watching and running around for this first hour and trying to check it out and see what's going to happen. Obviously, the rain holding off is awesome for all the riders. Some were praying for it that I was talking to, and most were not, of course. But I think it's going to be, a typical South Carolina. It's got the slick stuff where it's slick, and then it's got, with that little bit of rain, it's got some really good traction. I think it'd be really fun to ride, for sure, the first hour. The second hour is going to be tough and physical like it always is, and that third hour is going to be brutal as far as can't really see it. I mean, you can kind of on the screen, but the tree roots and the rough is just that jarring, feels like you have broken wrists type of thing. Great track, and it's all of what GNCC is that mentally tough and physically tough.
It's a great way to start the season, I believe. I think that, Florida's always rough and rugged, but I don't know, man. I kind of dig this. I kind of like starting here. It kind of gets you into the groove of things, I guess some might like being out of the groove in that first round and trying to get into it in Georgia, but you're into the groove, so I don't think it makes Florida seem that horrible all of a sudden,
Yeah, good point, Rodney. I think... I think they're trying, obviously, to figure out what works from last year, and I think it's, talking to a lot of people living now back in upstate New York, a lot of them can come down to this and have 2 weeks off to regroup and then come back down like we used to, which was awesome. The Florida-Georgia's back-to-back, so that's awesome. So now people can actually enjoy that sequence like we used to for so many years. So I think it's actually I think you always have to try stuff, and GNCC is always great at trying that and see what sticks. So I think this year they really nailed it, and I think it's fun for the riders. And I know it's exciting and antsy coming in. Here's a good battle with looks like
that's Baylor, isn't it? Baylor.
Yep, and Thad, right?
Yes, it is. Baylor and Thad, 1 and 2.
So we passed them.
So where is that was Bollinger. It looked like in the number 3 spot. Did we miss Caleb again going through there, or what's going on? I know we missed him. Ooh. Now they're there. Now see the guy go down right. Caleb did not go through. Stu, Thad, Trevor. So, wow. Man, wow, talk about coming off of a high and starting out the season like this behind the 8 ball. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy or anything, but it's kind of neat to have Caleb down a little bit, because that means he's going to be riding with a fury and a passion that we like to see Caleb riding with whenever we hit Florida and whenever we hit Georgia. I think Caleb losing this first round really excites things up a little bit.
Yeah, Caleb's 5-time champ in a row for a reason, and he knows how to have great speed and race etiquette and smarts and everything else. So hopefully he's all right. It looks like some of the people are running back to the pits. I don't know what might have happened, but hopefully he's okay, and it's something they can fix and get him back out there.
Yeah, Josh Train going through the finish line there. Yeah, not real sure what position he's in. I turned my head there, but I'm thinking he's right there at the top 5.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, like you said, Rodney, to jump back to it, you hope everybody has a great season, but it is fun to see some racing. You know what I mean? So I agree with you that, I'm sure Caleb won't agree with us, but in the same, I think it's exciting to see that everybody's fighting and going fast, and they all are. These last 3.5 months since we talked together, and the last one at the Ironman, it's pretty neat.
Whoa, Bollinger up to 2nd now as we go up the FMF PowerPoint. We just saw Stu Baylor blistering up that one, and right behind him, Trevor Bollinger, and now Thad Duvall back in the number 3 spot. I got to tell you, Steve, I'm really impressed. I keep saying this, but I'm super impressed with Trevor Bollinger. I mean, he really impressed me as a rookie, and I can probably be correct on this, but I think that he has been the most consistent and on the podium more, it seemed like, than any other rider coming out of the XC2 class. I could be wrong because it's the freshest, but regardless if I am or not, his sophomore season, he is really right on pace where some of the best have been. And, this is a pretty good sign to kick off this first round like this, chasing down the leader at about the midway point of the race. That's good stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Rodney. I have seen and kind of kept an eye on him this offseason, and he's been training hard, it looks like, and pinning it, and he's on the 450 full time. So I think he's going to be one, and you're right. He was obviously dominant in the XT2 class a few years ago, and then when he bumped up, he rode strong 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, the whole race. And I think if he really settles on one bike, as well as he's a great rider. I've watched him obviously practicing and watched him at the races. He's one that once he gets on fire and has that mental know how to do it. Caleb's always said it, and working with him over the years some. He has really great race etiquette, Caleb does, as well as fast and mentally tough and physically tough. But Bollinger's another one that's got really good line selection, really smart, and really rides the bike well just watching. I mean, they all do, but you're right. He's a sleeper that hasn't quite awoken. If he could win today, it's going to start the season.
Wow, can you imagine what it'd be like if he could pull off the win?
Yeah.
Wow. And he's in position right now because he is knocking on the door of Baylor as we roll through this one. And we're rejoined by Johnny Gallagher here in the broadcast booth. And Johnny, I know you've been out and about. What's some of the updates that you've been able to come up with?
Well, I was actually out there eating my my beet chips and my beet chips and my guac there. But as we see in the VP Fuels Pro Route right now, Thad Duvall, our leader in, he is in, fueled, and gone. Stu Baylor is gone as well, and there goes Trevor Bollinger. So one thing we see Caleb Russell down the end there. He's getting fuel, so all those guys are going to remain pretty much nose to tail.
Wow, I tell you, man, this is kind of deceiving when we're watching these guys out here. We've seen Bollinger actually ahead of Thad Duvall there for a little bit, and so they just keep switching it up and going back and forth. We've got a lot of slicing and dicing, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And, while we're talking about Bollinger, I actually, Rodney, I think a lot of what makes this show what it is when you and I disagree on things. And I think you're absolutely right about Trevor Bollinger and how determined. You can tell he's lost the weight. He's been training. Actually, last year, he was probably the biggest disappointment in the XC1 class. He
Really?
had 0 podiums.
Really?
0 podiums, had only 1 top 5 all year.
Well, for some reason, he rode a lot up front anyway.
He did, absolutely. Had some
You're
great
right.
rides,
Now that you mention it, now that you bring it up, you're absolutely right.
And the reason why I bring that up is I think the Trevor that we're seeing today is a result of the Trevor we saw last year. He was so disappointed in himself, and when I say he was the biggest disappointment, not in terms of what I believe or anyone else believes, you could see after the races he was not happy being a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guy. That is not Trevor Bollinger. He wants to win. He wants to be up there battling for wins. And the fact that he was back riding in mid-pack or behind most of the races last year when the checkered flag came out, that was not what he was okay with. So what we're seeing today, in my opinion, is a product of that. He took the off-season. He obviously changed up his diet, changed up his nutrition, fitness, his approach, his mental, everything. And what we're seeing is a new and improved Trevor Bollinger.
Well, and you're right. You are absolutely right, Johnny. But I have to go back and say, even with the disappointments, to me, there's some kind of magic there with him. I really believe that. I think that everybody feels it. I think that Johnny Campbell even knows it. I mean, when you step up from the XC2, you never really know what to expect out of a rider. Sometimes they do great. Sometimes they fall completely flat. And he didn't do that, and even if he had, I don't think that made a whole lot of difference. I think we still see the greatness, and we're witnessing it here today. Again, we got a whole season to see whether or not he's going to be able to bring this all to fruition. There is Toth in the pits now, it looks like.
Whoa, look at Ben Kelly's jersey. I made the comment before that it looked like it was slightly torn. That thing is torn off. And there we see Pascal Rocknicker, the 117, takes over the lead. He went around the outside there while those guys were fueling. So we have a new leader in XC2, at least for the moment.
Yeah, and just to jump in, I agree with you, Johnny. I think you can see last year, to point out your point, Trevor's used to winning when he pumped up from the XC2, and he had a dominant, and he's a great rider. So you can see a rider that's not happy there, and obviously he was switching around a little bit, using the 250F, different things, trying to get his feet wet. But I think he has that attitude, you can tell, of a champion. I think you're exactly right, both of you, because I think he's one of the talented riders that's going to be, once he gets it figured out, he's going to be here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, and you think, you look at it from, and Rodney, from your perspective, I see exactly what you're seeing in terms of, it was a great rookie season by most people's standards. He had good finishes, he was solid, he didn't have a lot of DNFs, he wasn't quitting, didn't have injuries, because that class is tough. Jump up from XC2 to XC1, to do it successfully is very, very difficult. But here we see the 264 Ryan Sipes, who was running up front early, and it looks now he is back a good ways behind some of our top riders in XC2. So he's fallen back to outside the top 10, I believe, in that XC1 Pro class. So we'll check in and maybe see if we can get an update on exactly what's going on with Ryan there. Definitely doesn't look to have quite the intensity he did earlier in the race, but again, awesome to have him out here getting that first win last year. I know you guys talked about it a good bit, but he's such a talent, such a dynamic personality here at the racetrack, both on and off, and great to have him out here representing his sponsors and represent GNCC Racing.
An hour and 30 minutes into this race, so we are at the halfway point, and we see that Strang is still listed as that 5th place ride, but man, what a gap between 4th and 5th place. At least there was for a while. I know it's got a little bit more spread out now that we've seen a couple of changes there, but I'm not going to be surprised to see these guys, all 4 of them, right back on nose to tail on top of each other. They pitted, I think, now. They've all pitted now, I believe. So everybody, it's basically a drag race to the end on this one. So this is going to get, I think, maybe even more exciting than the excitement we saw in the first hour and a half.
And realistically, the question I have is, how long has it been since we've seen 4 riders battling for the lead an hour and a half into a GNCC race? I know we've seen it early, and I have to kind of go back to Unadilla. I know we had the chaos on the Pro Hill Climb. On the FMF PowerPoint, we had 4 or 5 riders stuck there. I don't know if that was quite an hour and a half in, but I know it was over an hour. There we see our leader, Thad Duvall, number 989, back to that point position. There is the 514 of Stu Baylor, and hot on his heels, the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. There is the 739 of Trevor Bollinger. So your top 4 still flying in formation, still nose to tail, and still battling it out. They're close enough to read the writing on each other's tires.
That's pretty neat. That's also pretty neat how the pits jumbled them up. What's going on here?
I got excited. I thought that was Ricky Russell. I thought he just made the most miraculous comeback of all time. He was getting up in the battle for lead, saw that Yamaha, but it was not him.
Hey, Johnny, I know you've been out here. You raced yesterday and everything, and as we're watching this one, I just got to say congratulations to you as a teammate on Becca's big win today, man. She didn't win?
No, had a little issue in the final few corners.
Oh, I thought you guys were able to still pull it off, man. She had a phenomenal ride today, though, did she not?
Yep, great ride, great battle between all those top girls. Came down to the final few corners. And
what exactly happened there?
A little bit of riders came together, a little bit of a bike issue after that. So ultimately, she had to push the final quarter mile or eighth mile or so. So she ended up second.
Okay, so she did.
Yep.
Okay.
Taylor Jones getting the win, but good hard fought battle between those two.
Yeah,
Definitely
it was.
No hard feelings. They raced each other hard to the final turns, and awesome to see. Oh, look at this. We got Sipes. It looks like back in the pits, so we noted he had kind of maybe fallen off the aggression a little bit. Might be something wrong with that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. They're checking. It looks like they're looking down. Possibly, are they looking at the clutch cover there, or what are they?
Yeah, either the shifter, foot peg, or clutch cover.
I guess that would be the water. Or yeah, that would be. No, they're looking at the stator cover actually. They're up on. Oh, that's the fuel line. Yeah, they got the fuel line. Maybe possibly come unplugged. They're working on it. Got one of the factory racing Husqvarna mechanics over there. They're working on Ryan Sipes' fuel line. He may have broken the connector. It looks like.
Exactly what happened to Caleb Russell in New York a couple years ago when he collided with another guy.
Okay, so they're actually pulling the inline fuel filter out, so he may be having fuel delivery issues. Perhaps that thing missing or having some issues, so they're going to try pulling that inline filter out, get a little more flow, and get him back out there, see if he can't salvage some points here on the day. But again, I would assume Ryan not really chasing points since he is only planning on doing 4 rounds, but he's here. He wants to get the most exposure he can for his sponsors and also get some seat time for himself. With so many other events coming up. I know you guys did an interview with him. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I know he's doing ISDE, he's doing some sprint enduros, he's doing some one-off type events. Obviously, last year we got to see him at the Red Bull Straight Rhythm. So this is a man that can do pretty much anything on a dirt. He's doing some flat track.
Yeah, that's what I think is really cool. He says flat track, and he says even some TT in that flat track. So I think that'll be pretty neat for him.
Very cool. Absolutely very cool. He's a man of many talents, obviously coming over to spend the last several years or a few years with us after a long, illustrious career in the professional motocross and supercross. And he's really found a home here in off-road, both in GNCC and other forms, other series. There we see Blue, one of the Husqvarna guys there, giving him a little love and sending him on his way. He's gonna get back out there and see if he can complete some laps again, get some more seat time to prepare for some upcoming events he's got.
Now you wonder what he's doing right here. Just to let you know, he can ride back to the point of the track where he left, and he has to re-enter the race course where he left it. So that's why he is not going back down the same way that you would think that he would have gone like he did before. So he gets to go back to the point of the track where he exited, re-enter there, and resume the race from that point.
Yeah, and to add to what you guys are saying, both Johnny and Rodney, Ryan's obviously been doing it all, and we started working together 12 years ago when he was still doing Supercross, and he was really excited, obviously, with that, and then to progress into the off-road in 6 days and all of this, and it's neat to see him try to figure out what's the next path from last year when we were talking. Is like, I said, you know what, I remember Larry Rosler years ago in his last few years as a racer, he'd pick out the fun events that he loved and would go towards those and try to ride them and do well and just get, excited about them. So it's pretty neat that he's doing that same thing.
Sounds like we got Mikey Waynes down in the Ryan Sipes pits.
Hey guys, down here with Marvin Sipes. Dad, what happened, man? Ryan, you're having some fun. Looks like you had some fuel line problems.
Yeah, he said it was cutting out really bad, and I just gassed him, and then it was real bad. It was worse, so he turned around and come back. We changed the fuel filter. Hopefully that'll fix it.
Well, he was smiling when he left. It may have had something to do with the kids coming up and saying hi. So that's the plus side. Glass half full. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Mikey. And I have to think, man, Ryan Sipes has to be one of the most blessed individuals on the planet right now.
Well, absolutely. And like I was saying, he could do it all, like you guys have been saying. I heard you guys talking earlier about him. And, he's one of those guys that can do it all, which is so cool. So that's when he was thinking of doing something different. I'm like, man, why don't you just pick and choose and do what you're good at, which is everything. Keep it fun. He's got a brand new baby girl that's here, and there's 3 kids he's got and his wife. So busy guy and trying to put it all together and still be a dad and make a living racing dirt bikes. So it's neat to see him kind of put his whole program together. A lot more work, as we all know, but fun to watch him, and he's excited about the season because even like something like this, you know, if you're in the championship, you'd be totally bummed out. But if you're just doing a handful, you come back to try to win another GNCC down the road.
Right, we'll try it next time. I just saw Anthony Federico out of Gilbert, South Carolina there from the XC2250 Pro Class. He is a Grizzly Peak and Recluse FXR backed rider, in and out of the pits there a few moments ago. Not sure what position he's in, but certainly still in the thick of things of some sort there. Wow, we had over 400 riders here this afternoon that took off on the starting line. We had over 700 in the AM race this morning, over 200 youth riders. So I think I heard the final tallies, just over 1,900 entries. Or not far from the 2,000 mark, believe it or not. So, wow, just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out and all the riders. And it has certainly afforded, I think, some great racing and made for a great racetrack at the same time. But I got to tend to believe, as many people it's been over this racetrack, at least the sections that I'm saying, it doesn't appear, at least from this perspective, so bad. Is that like this hill climb we're looking at the FMF, is deceiving to see it on TV?
I think so. I mean, if you can walk it and see how it's rutted up more, I mean, it is rough, and it looks smoother on TV for sure to us sitting here. But Johnny raced it yesterday. South Carolina seems like it always has that chop to me that's just a little, you know, square edge chop that's tough to get out of because it's so tight.
Yeah, it's got that square edge chop, but honestly, I think it actually held up a little bit better this year with the
moisture
in it. But I can see now, I was out checking out a couple of the field sections this morning during that 10 a.m. race, and then was out there just now walking around, just kind of checking to see how the course was shaping up. I was out from here a little bit, and man, it's really, the bike guys are, it's hard to explain. Like, normally I think the ATVs chew it up worse, but I think with the moisture in it, it kind of stayed together pretty well yesterday, and I don't know if that little bit of extra rain that we got last night or this morning just made it soft, but it's really starting to rut up. Uh-oh, look at this. Was that a problem? Did anybody else notice that Duvall was going really slow there for a minute? Maybe it was just my mind, but he looked like he was just absolutely crawling through that shot and then all of a sudden took off. Maybe he was adjusting something, but there we see Trevor Bollinger there in third, Caleb Russell in fourth. Again, those top four still all within about 5 to 7 seconds.
Well, Trevor's passed Caleb twice now. I don't know what or how, but the last time we saw him, Trevor was behind Caleb, and now Trevor's back in front of Caleb in that number 3 spot. So I'm not saying anything, but what I am saying is, wow, for Trevor. You know, I mean, regardless of where it finishes, man, he's passed Caleb twice, and that's got to be a confidence booster heading into the next round, regardless if it pays off today or not.
Yeah, there's only a handful of riders in the world that can say they passed Caleb Russell on a GNCC track, so that's pretty impressive. Oh. And he's battling with him. It's not a lap down.
Ryan Sipes back in the pits, unfortunately, riding back in under that Rockstar tent. Looks like he's putting the bike on a stand, whatever the issue is. Looks like he may be done for the day, judging. And here we see the 114 of Josh Strang. Wow. There is our 5th place rider, still holding strong. Strang looking good today, getting a win in a local race, I believe, a week ago. A little bit of a boost to the confidence, beat Ricky Russell and Trevor Bollinger there. So obviously he's riding well. Still up there inside the top 5. Not far off that lead pack, but just enough that he's not quite within striking distance. Can't see those guys in the fields, but we know how quickly that can and sometimes does change. So as we run, we talked about on screen, we're showing Stu Baylor Jr. as a leader, but we know now it is Thad Duvall, the 989. Stu Baylor in 2nd, Trevor Bollinger in 3rd, and Caleb Russell in 4th. Those guys all pretty much wheel to wheel, just a few seconds separating them. Josh Strang there in 5th, probably about 45 seconds back. And then we're still waiting on our 6th place rider to come through. So the top 5 have really broken away at this point. Now nearing 2 hours into this thing, I would say. Or sorry, 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 43 seconds. So not quite to 2 hours yet. But we were talking about the track, and I really do think that the moisture that helped so much yesterday is the very same thing that's kind of undoing things today. It's starting to rut up. And what happens is with all these roots here, you know, things are good until they're not. And it kind of starts to eat down, and then when they hit those roots, it just makes these big chuck holes. And that's what the course is kind of shaping up, surprisingly, even out in the fields. It's like they're digging down to tree roots in the fields. Here we see, looks like somebody coming into the Yamaha pits. Oh, this is one of the other riders here just pitting there. Looks like possibly Evan Earl, the son of Vance Earl, one of the all-time greats in our super senior division for many years there. That's his son Evan there pitting the 101 machine. He takes off and out on his way back out onto this big buck racing course. There we see Ricky Russell back on screen. We don't know exactly where he's running in the order. Possibly up in that 6th place spot.
That's what I'm kind of thinking or beginning to believe there. That should put him about right there. But they're kind of spread out. Fourth to fifth is spread out. Fifth to sixth seems to be spread out quite a bit. As you were talking about course conditions and talking about the track and stuff itself. Now, the Monster Mile, is that one of those old traditional tightwood sections? Like, I remember we used to have one section here at Pines, and I don't know if it's still here or not, but with some of the tightest woods that the two-wheel guys would have to ride.
Yeah, that's actually, we've got that shot, or we've got that section in another shot of camera, and it's opened up quite a bit because they put those darn quads in it this year, and it blew down all the saplings, and it all opened up. But it was really tight for us, and then kind of as the race went on, we blew open some lines, and was out there this morning for the 10 a.m. race, and lines were just opening up left and right. Still tight, but a lot more open. But no, this Monster Mile, it's actually a lot of elevation changes, the section that they chose for that Monster Energy Mile. It comes in, it kind of starts where the track separates from the 10 a.m. track, and it's one big ravine with the two mud holes in it, like 3 or 4 hill climbs, and then down into that other ravine, which we see right there where those monster banners are. So it's actually over a mile of course, but they're calling it the Monster Mile, and it's definitely the most challenging portion of this afternoon course for sure.
Well, Thad Duvall leading Stu Baylor with Trevor Bollinger in third. Caleb Russell is fourth. Josh Strang rounds out your top 5. We're an hour and 43 minutes into this Big Buck GNCC, the season opener. The big question right now, how's it all going to end? There's a lot of questions on a lot of minds. Stick around to find out the answers. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL's Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin here along with Steve Hatch and, of course, Johnny Gallagher, two of the GNCC greats that are sitting alongside me here today. And, you know, it just dawned on me what kind of company I'm sitting here with today, believe it or not. Steve, I tell you, when I first came into announcing GNCCs in the late 90s and early 2000s, you were a huge icon in the sport, man, and to be sitting here working with you today is pretty amazing. Same thing for Johnny, and he continues to be that huge icon in GNCC.
I'll go ahead and say it. We're not on the same level here. Steve's got quite a bit more impressive resume than I do, and an honor to sit next to you. And you know, it's like you said, Rodney, we're in the presence of greatness.
We are. I am, anyway.
Well, I feel the same way for both you guys, and I didn't win last year, and I'm not still racing, so there's a good one. And then I know you've been doing this for 20 years, right?
Yeah,
2 decades. I was reading the new GNCC, sure I was educated. I'm like, 20 years. I started doing the math. I'm like, man, that's right. It was probably 5 years before I retired, and you were, you know, starting to make the switch over and be our commentators. So honored to be with you guys for sure.
I'm working with John Ayers. Started working with him back in the mid 90s, and then there towards the early 2000s, it really heated up. Man, what an amazing history that I've got. I've seen a lot, man, and a lot of people say, how can you speculate and how can you this? Well, I go on experience, man. I mean, you see a lot of things, and, you know, a lot of it's just BS, too.
I get the same question a lot, and my answer is a little bit different. It's the same, just phrased differently. People say, well, how do you know? How do you think you know that? This is all I've ever done.
Right.
Like, this is it, man. This is all I know or know well in life. So nearly any situation that arises, if I haven't been in that exact situation, I've been in one pretty similar.
Right.
That's funny you say that, Johnny, because I tell my riders when I start working with them, I'm like, chances are after all these years, been there, wrecked that, did it wrong, and figured out maybe a little better way to do it right. Whatever it is, from the racing the dirt bike to the physical to the mental to the, you know, dealing with the travel, whatever you have or testing, we've been there and done that. So we don't always know the answer, but I think you figure out a way with people that have been around the sport as much as all three of us have.
Yeah.
Well, while we're making ourselves feel old, I'll throw one more thing in there. You know, Danny Fowler, Walker's dad, put it best a couple of years ago. We were talking about, you know, younger riders, younger people in general, that, you know, and I was the father and people that tried to teach me, and I don't know, I'm sure you guys kind of, it seems to be the theme, I'm sure everybody's the same. You know, it's tough when you get to the point where you have the experience, you've been there, done that, wrecked that, lost that, as you said. You know, Danny put it best when he said, you know, when you're trying to talk to your kid or somebody younger, it's rough because you're talking to them and they don't realize that the game of life that they're playing, you already have the answer book for. But they don't want the answer. Learn those answers on their own, and you kind of, it alleviates the frustration if you just say, hey man, I wouldn't listen to anybody either, so why would they listen to me? You tell them once, and you know, obviously you're not always right, but most of the time you are. So no, a lot of experience in this booth for sure. And you know, Steve, you've been out there yourself on two wheels and winning and doing so many things for so many years. I mean, it's awesome to have you here and get your perspective not only on your current forte, which is the training and the, you know, the mental preparation that you work with all your riders, but also as being a former great and champion, you know, to the mindset that goes into it. You know, it's definitely kind of a different perspective to, you know, you've literally been in the boots that we're watching out there on the course.
Well, thank you. And likewise, I think one of the tricks is when you've been there and done it so much, you know what they're actually dealing with. I hear a lot of, you know, trainers and people that help riders become fit, which we all three know is such a big factor to this type of racing. And, you know, I read their schedules or figure out what they're doing, and I'm like, well, that's great if you're a football player, or that's great if you're a boxer, that's great for your sports. And that helps them get better, but it's not directly affected to exactly what we're doing. So, you know, if you're, you know, the right tools for the job, if you will. Yeah, see? Same with me. I don't like running that much, but those work boots. But just to your point exactly, Johnny, it's neat to you know, understand these guys and gals and figure out what they're doing right and wrong. And like you said, the experience is invaluable, but they relate to us because we can say, been there, and they go, oh, they have. And then, like, you get back to your point with, I think, Walker's dad is like, you know, our parents we didn't listen to our parents. So for me, I'm actually one arm's distance away from the rider and the parents. It's a lot easier for me to come up and say, hey, it could be the exact same thing their mom or dad or sister or brother or best friend saying, but when I say it, I'm far enough removed that they take it as maybe it's somebody different, not the same guy. Ever, you know.
But from a racing standpoint, Stu and Thad going through, I think here, I don't know if it's in the, I didn't see him go by the pits here.
But Johnny's going to go out and check that out there for just a moment. I lost my train of thought there, believe it or not. I mean, imagine that. I got so many trains running through this mine right now. But anyway, back to the racing action at hand and the livelihood at hand. Here we are today. One of the big questions that I have, Steve, is you know, and it kind of parallels with what you and Johnny were talking about, but it brings us full circle to what's going on here right now. How much different are things now than what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago when my, you know, say somebody's dad or mom, I mean, it's different. I mean, just from a racing perspective, I mean, it's a lot different than it was 20 years ago, I think.
Absolutely. Well, you know, now, like any sport, the nice thing is GNCC's done such a great job that the manufacturers are here. Big sponsors are here, you know, Monster Energy, Rockstar, you name it, they're all here, Red Bull. One of the tricks is, too, that when we were doing it a little bit more, we did have the factory box vans. We were the first ones to get the factory Suzuki semis. I mean, those were big deals. Oh, here we go. We're back on. And then, and, you know, everybody always says, oh, well, you know, the guys are faster or slower than they used to be, or the whole story, just like with motocross, supercross. I think it's changed that now it's such a industry sport. Still, the parents are the backbone to get you going, get you started. And then as you get good enough, it's cool that the factories and sponsors step in and help you, which is good and bad. And why it's good and bad, it's great for the racer, great for you know, making some money and being a professional athlete. It's tough because these are your babies, your kids that you've helped from day one. Does that make sense? So, so they kind of get, and not in a bad way, they're stoked they're you know, kids going fast and doing well, but they kind of get pushed to the side a little bit, which is tough for a lot of them to take. And I know, being a dad myself with 2 kids, you know, you want to be your kid's hero always, you know. So
and you recognize that a lot, man. And
yeah,
I look. I'll give you one example. Charlie Mullins and his dad. I mean,
right.
Big Charlie had to step away whenever Charlie went into the, you know, into the professional ranks and everything, and that was a big change. And you know, he did a great job of getting him up to that point. There's no doubt about that. And I see exactly what you're talking about there. Now, we just saw some guys go through. When we were talking about the guys going through, they were going through the finish line. We just saw Josh Strang go through a few moments ago. He's still holding on to what I believe is the number 5 position there. So we have another lap down in this one. What is this, lap 4 complete now, or is it lap 3 complete?
3 or 4? 4. I think 4. We're not good with
We're
numbers.
close to 2 hours. I'd say it is close to that. Yeah, we're not live scoring. We're just speculate.
It's between 1 and 6 for sure.
Yeah. Well, we see Ricky Russell has caught up to, we know he is up behind Corey Buttrick now, so he's slowly worked his way up there. I don't know exactly.
2 lap board, I just saw. Sorry to jump in.
Okay, so we're coming down. We're near the end of it. We know that much. We're deducing great information from what we're seeing on screen. There's, you know, Ricky's been kind of working his way up through the pack. There is Jordan Ashburn working his way up as well. These guys have been fighting all day long, trying to get up in that battle for top 5, kind of clinging there near the tail end of the top 10. But we're trying to get some actual lap times up here so we can see exactly where we're going and who's catching who and all that kind of fun stuff. The leaders coming by. There is Stu Baylor. There is Thad Duvall. There is Caleb Russell. The top 3 are through VP Fuels Pro Row, and about 5 seconds back, Trevor Bollinger. So there's your top 4. They are through. They are wheel-to-wheel. Stu Baylor leading the way. Thad Duvall in 2nd, and Caleb Russell in 3rd. Just behind them, Trevor Bollinger 4th. We're waiting on our 5th place rider, which we know, last we knew was Josh Strang. He should be coming by here soon, and then we can hopefully get a rundown on exactly who our top 10 are in that XC1 Pro class. Also, we should be seeing, possibly if we get that shot of the finish line again, we might get to see the leaders in XC2. They should be working their way through here just about any moment as we trying to get the live timing and scoring up here. Looks like as we look at our overall, when they checked in last, it was Zach Hayes leading the way for the overall. We got a little bit of a glitch there, but this shows 4 laps complete. Stu Baylor, Thad Duvall, Caleb Russell, Trevor Bollinger, Josh Strang, Josh Toth leading that XC2 Pro Lights class is in the 6th place spot overall, and just lost that live feed. So we're out here to oh, there is Strang, the 5th place rider, just coming by on VP Fuels Pro Row. There he is. There you're catching the back of him there as he heads into the woods. That is our fifth place rider, the number 114 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. There we see his rig behind there. He just came by there. No fuel, no goggles, no anything this time for Strang. He was in the pits just a lap ago. With 2 laps to go now, it's these guys still battling wheel to wheel. Looks like we're getting a look here at plus 19 seconds. We think that would be the pit board for Josh Toth. Yep, there it is. Wow. You can see at the top, Josh Toth. 19 seconds, focus. So we're doing a little bit of background sneaking here, getting a look at the pit boards, the insight that goes into this. You know, and Steve, obviously you being in the racing world for so long, there's a lot that goes into the thought of what gets written on those pit boards. You got to know your rider. You got to know what they want to know. You got to know what's going to motivate them. So many factors in determining simply just taking an expo marker and writing on a dry erase board. You know, obviously the math of where they're at and where they're going is one thing, but, you know, the inspirational messages, the kind of, there we go.
Yep. No, good point, Johnny. It's interesting. You can even play it one spot farther besides the reality of where they are in the race, which is plus 19, which is awesome. You can also, when the competitors come by, if the mechanics are still there with a pit board, you realize that you're not that far off the next rider. So we would run and hide, you know, nowadays, or tell our mechanics, don't be there.
Hey, guys, I hate to jump in. I know you guys got some good conversation and stuff going on, but I was just talking with Ryan Eccles out on the track. He's got a little bit of an update. What's going on out there right now, Ryan?
Great. Well, when they went up the FMF PowerPoint, then they got this, it was Dad and Baylor were right next to each other, and Caleb was right behind them, and not too far behind them, it was Bollinger was right there. So it's a heated battle for top 4 coming in into 2-lap cars.
10-4, buddy. Keep an eye on that and let us know what's going on and what transpires out there. We'll be listening in, all right? Well, all right, so these next couple laps, we're going to get a lot of radio traffic, so I'm going to be jumping in on you guys. Just keep up with what you're doing, guys. We're going to find out what's going on in this one.
Top 4 wheel to wheel. So those guys are battling it out, putting the hammer down, and this is where the money gets made, boys. You know, up till this point, it's been a lot of shuffling, been a lot of point position swapping, you know, jockeying for position, figuring out who wants to kind of have the big stick and lead, who wants to sit back there and conserve that energy. And Steve, let's talk about that. If you're a racing strategist, you know, what was your forte? Did you prefer to be out front leading, or would you rather key off that guy in front of you and save kind of some energy?
I'd like to pull the whole shot was my one goal, and then secondly, try to lead the race, and then if my arms did pump up, and I did have the arm pump surgery after years, so one of the things is, if they did pump up, I'd try to let 1 or 2 riders by to kind of key off them for the first lap or 2, but I'd still ride the first lap about 100%. Second, third, fourth lap, usually, depending on how long the laps were, probably about 95%, and then with 2 laps to go, 110% all the way to finish. It was winning time, still is today.
Well, that's there you have it, folks. If you want the Steve Hatch recipe for winning, he just laid it out there for you, and that one is free. Anything more, you can go to his website, stevehatchracing.com, and he can dial you in and get you all tuned up, both you and your brain, for doing what it takes to win. Look at this. Speaking of winning, Caleb Russell takes over the lead. He goes by Stu Baylor. Baylor runs it up next to him in the next corner there. Thad Duvall there in third, and they have stretched it out just a little bit on the 739 of Trevor Bollinger. So we've got 3 riders. I'm going to do it in my Buren voice. Wheel to wheel. These guys are just banging it out there. Handlebars dragging the ground, and nothing but throttles locked to the stops. Caleb Russell leading the way. Stu Baylor in second, and third place is the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna rider of Thad Duvall. These guys are laying it all out there. They got that 2-lap card, and they know it is time to go.
Yeah, totally awesome. I think they actually might have parked each other a little and pushing and shoving right now. So what do you think, Mikey?
I don't know. I don't think we can ask for a better scenario in round 1 of 2018 right here. I expected maybe a 1 or 2 battle for that top spot, but to see 3 guys, realistically 4 guys,
totally
all in it,
guys.
And the fact that Trevor Bollinger is in that mix is just awesome.
Absolutely. Well, we knew Steve was fast and won last year here, of course, so that was cool, and we knew he was going to go fast. But I think, like you said, and we were talking about it earlier, Trevor's going to be cool. So if we get 4 guys really battling, and then, you know, I think the track with it being some spots tighter and the lappers playing a factor, it could come down to all 4 could change 3 times on the last lap, in my opinion.
Well, you know, we talked about this is where the money gets made. These guys got that 2-lap card. They realized it's time to go. Caleb Russell taking the lead. Stu Baylor was hard on the throttle to try and get him back in the very next corner. So these guys are not messing around. Stu Baylor's not okay with being second to Caleb, even just for the moment. And Thad just lurking there, just inches behind. You know he's waiting for his opportunity to pounce. This is where we're going to find out who did the work in the offseason. They all worked, but who did it best? They all think they did. But in the next about 40 minutes of racing here, we're going to find out who is the most prepared, who's got their suspension setup dialed, who's got their fitness dialed, and who's got their mental mindset dialed. Trevor Bollinger's done a phenomenal job up till this point. Looks like he lost the toe just a little bit, but all it takes is just one quick little sprint for him to get back to the rear wheel. And like you said, we could see a 4-rider battle for this win coming down as we'll be coming to the white flag. Look at this.
There we go.
There's a rider on our FMF PowerPoint hill climb. He's going back down. The bike's still up at the top. He's making it look good. And look at that. The mud fleas, or in this case, the hill fleas, they're crawling all over. They're not letting him slide back down. They're saying, no, buddy, you gave it the effort. We're going to get you to the top.
That's when you love that you got all those friends all of a sudden. Yeah, I think that's one of the things, too, is that the last couple laps, when you're pinning it to go, the lappers can be such a big factor that you can either win the race because of a lapper or lose the race. And when you're coming up on the lappers that fast, they're trying to get out of their way, but they pull out of your way, and you're in another line, say in second or third, they pull right in front of you, and you get taken out. So it's not their fault. They're trying to actually be smart and get out of the way, but it can make it or break it when there's 4 guys that close together.
It's possible they could even move into a line that one of your second or your third place guys is trying to make a pass in. So.
Yep. That when there's only, say 3 to 4 lines, and there's, 5 guys trying to fit in 3 lines, the math doesn't work.
Real quick, we just had one of our AMSOIL reps stop by. If you are missing a pair of ladies Gucci glasses,
those are
prescription
mine.
glasses,
Those are mine.
They were left at the AMSOIL tent. So if you happen to be over there checking out those AMSOIL products and left your glasses behind, they have those at rider registration. You can walk up there and retrieve those. So we're back on screen here. That's us.
Oh, very nice.
Coming to you live. You look good, man. Looking good in the middle. Mikey, you always look good.
Oh,
buddy.
thank you, buddy.
And if you don't follow Mikey Waynes on Instagram, you need to follow him because his stories are amazing.
I try, sometimes a little too hard. We might have an update here with Rodney Tomlin.
All right, guys, we got an update coming in, and you were at the 5.5. Tell us again what's going on out there. Ten 10-4, we'll wait on that. So sounds like things are getting exciting. I heard the call there where Caleb made the pass in the lead. Man, these guys are getting really intense as we go through this next to the final lap of racing. And you almost think this was the last lap the way it's starting to heat up.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are laying it all on the line. And I think right now what they're doing is they're jockeying, trying to get to the front of that train because they're hoping whoever gets to the front and breaks away can get that gap. And once you get that gap, it kind of breaks the rider's spirit if they're not able to hang. So everybody kind of at this point wanting to be in that point position. Unless somebody's confident enough that they feel they can, let somebody else lead, just tag off their rear wheel. Here they are, the number 1 FMF KTM, Caleb Russell leading the way. Looks like now Thad Duvall into second, has dropped Stu Baylor back to third. Baylor looking around, wanting to know where his water bottle's at. We saw Thad end up getting that water bottle from Maggie there, and Caleb was looking at his fiancee Jade like, yo, where's mine? There we see Trevor Bollinger, the 739 JCR Honda. He is on the gas and in pursuit of those guys. He needs to close that gap up just a little bit if he wants to stay kind of in their draft. Understand this is not NASCAR, this is not road biking, but when you're behind, you can kind of key off those guys.
Well, here we go. We are in a very intense ride right now as we are battling basically down toward the checkers from this point on, I think, between these 4 guys. The thing we got to point out here today, guys, we had over 400 riders on the starting line. It's a 12.7-mile race course, but still we've got about double what these guys are normally used to racing. So we got a lot of lap traffic. I think a few extra obstacles these guys are going to have to deal with, and I don't know that they necessarily hit the brunt of it yet.
No, I think they're going to start coming up on these lappers hot and heavy. And not only that, the lappers that they're going to be passing, those are guys battling for positions, even podium positions within their own class. So these guys are not going to be expecting these guys as hard as they're pushing. They're really going to be closing on these guys fast.
And to add to that point, Johnny, when you're catching the guys that are this fast, like they're lapping, now you're into usually the A riders and the really fast guys. So it's not just blow by them if it's maybe, and I was started as a C rider, not knocking anybody's speed. But when you pass the B rider compared to an A rider or compared to maybe a pro rider that's in the XC3 class or 2 that had an issue, it's a whole different deal. You're not blowing by them twice their speed, you're trying to get an elbow in front of them before the next tree.
Oh, speaking of elbows, there's some flying. We got a rider down on the FMF PowerPoint, but he makes it over the top, and again, here comes the Hill Fleas, and they're going to help him out and make sure that he gets over the top without having to go back down to the bottom. We was just looking here, was going to try and do a rundown on the top 10 in each of our XC classes, and there is one of the top riders in our XC3 class, the 99 of Cody Barnes. So with that, let's go ahead and start off with that FMF XC3 125 class, and as we take a look at that here, the class leader is Jesse Ansley, the number 37 KTM rider. Second place is the 309 of Alex Teagarden. He is about 1 second behind Jesse Ansley. So those guys are absolutely battling it out in a fever pitch there. It looks like Cody Barnes is in third place, about 1 minute and 11 seconds back of Teagarden. Jason Langenbach is our fourth place rider in that XC3 class. Fifth is Devin Welch, Dustin Simpson sixth, Jason Raines in seventh, Jacob Rowland eighth, ninth is Hunter Reimer, and Colt Kinsler rounding out the top 10 as they run in that FMF XC3 class.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about this class. Last year, I believe, was the first year, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll tell you, with the fever pitch level of racing that we had out of the top three there last year whenever Jack Evanson came over and Jason Thomas was racing in that, and we had that really intensity battle. You kind of wondered what the life of this XC3 class is going to be like. But looking at it this year, look at the competition in this one, man. This is where we're going to start to see these guys really start this growing pattern from the XC3 to the XC2, then to the XC1. I think it's a great pattern that these guys can, ranking system that these guys can go up through to reach the XC1 Pro rank someday.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to add to that, I agree, Rodney. Alex Teagarden's one of my riders and won the 250A last year. But we were talking about in the off season, where should he go? Perfect class for him, XC3, right? XC2, he'd still battle, but he's still going to probably be a 5th to 10th place guy. XC1, you have to earn it up there. So right there, he's battling. He went over to actually Spain and trained with Jack Evanson this off season in January, the whole month. So kind of a cool off season training. But to add to your point, it's a great class, and I think it's cool that Jason's back there, Raines, because if I was come back to do a race, it'd probably be in that class, because I probably could enjoy it at least for a little while, even though I'd still be exhausted, and 125 would be a little bit more fun than a
So does that mean we might see you out here in the XC3?
No.
That's what I heard. I just heard Steve Hatch making his return to professional racing, the FMF XC3 class. He's going to be out there next week or 2 weeks from now in the Florida Sands, making his return to glory.
I love how rumors get started.
That's how it happens right there.
And that's how it works.
One little thing, and then Rodney Tomlin and Johnny Gallagher get a hold of it, and it's out of control. Mikey Waynes is going to put it on his Instagram story. It's viral, and it's all out of control.
It's on Instagram already as we're talking about it.
Probably.
So I might as well start doing push-ups now and get back in shape. I got 2 weeks.
Hey, as we check in here, we're going to go ahead and run down the top 10 in our XC1 Pro class. We kind of been messing around here on results, so we'll just run them down as they checked in at the completion of lap 4. It was Stu Baylor Jr. leading the way, Thad Duvall in second, and Caleb Russell third. Now, we know that has mixed up since then. It is now Caleb Russell leading, Thad Duvall in second, and Stu Baylor third. From there on back, still appears to be the same. Trevor Bollinger in that 4th place spot. Josh Strang 5th. Lane Michael in 6th in his XC1 debut. Haven't talked a lot about Lane today, but he's running solid there in that 6th place spot and really working to kind of gain that consistency, get his legs under him here in that new XC1 class for him. Always a fast starter. Would have expected to see him actually up there a little higher, but early in the race. But now in 6th, settled into a good battle. Looks like a fairly close battle that he is having, in fact, with Corey Buttrick, who's just 26 seconds behind him. And then another 12 seconds back in the number 8 spot is Ricky Russell, with Jordan Ashburn and Andrew DeLong rounding out the top 10 in that XC1 Pro class.
Well, taking a look down through here, what about surprises? Are you surprised by any of this by any chance?
Ricky Russell
Ricky
stands
Russell.
out to me, for sure.
Yeah.
In 8th. I mean, I didn't expect that. Yeah. Hearing him the way he was talking and the success that he had in 2017, really expected him to be, honestly, fighting for a top 3 podium position today.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, though, I was watching Ricky, and that was one of the things I was going to say when I come back. Not to be negative about it, but his bike looks terrible. He's fighting his bike badly. Suspension settings are way off. Every corner, his hands are flying off the bars. He just does not look comfortable on that thing at all. Great machine, obviously. That Yamaha 450 worked awesome for him last year. sometimes what happens is these guys get in their own head. They start making suspension changes. They think they're going for the better. They get out here, and I don't know the backstory at all, but was watching all those guys come through. Everybody came through looking comfy. Ricky Russell was hard on the throttle, but it was a scary thing to watch. Definitely, my suggestion to Ricky would be go back, talk to your suspension guy, and start over for the next race, because he's really fighting that machine out there right now.
I think one of the biggest surprises for me right now, and I know this might seem a little bit weird, but is Josh Strang. I know he's top 5 right now, but I have to think, in my heart of hearts, I was expecting that he was going to be more up there with Stu and Trevor and with Caleb and those guys. I thought that he would be one of the guys that would be one of the 1, 2, or 3 racing, not back so far in the number 5 spot. And he's still got a little bit of time to make up some ground out there, especially if these guys run into some of that thick lap traffic that might be out there. So, just because Josh is not in the thick of things right now, don't mean it isn't. But I have to say, I am a little bit surprised. I kind of expected him to have a little bit higher fever pitch, but obviously something happened there at the beginning of the race that kind of didn't let him get his momentum going, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rodney. I talked to him a little bit out in the woods this morning when he was walking the track and looking at it, and friends with all these guys, and I expected that he was going to have a solid race also. I think
no, the 5th isn't a solid race,
but I think something might have happened, because he had the whole shot and then he went in the woods and then he came out like 10th or whatever, so something went on early, I think. But I'm with you. I think he's going to have some good races this year.
But all in all, I mean, maybe taking into consideration what happened there, he's probably doing an exceptional day and going to salvage a great day out of this one. So I don't think we're going to have to, or should even begin to start counting him out for a championship right now. I think any one of these 5, 6 guys right now at the end of this one are still have an opportunity for it. And at the end of this one, even though Caleb Russell's leading this one right now, as many lead changes as we've seen, and as many passes as we've seen, we got to wonder still how this one is going to end, and I don't know that Caleb's going to win it.
This one is far from settled, I can assure you that. Who knows who's going to win it, but one thing I can say for sure is the order they run right now, if they finish there, it won't be for a lack of swapping between now and then. Yeah. There's going to be some paint traded, there's going to be some graphics ripped off, and there will be some contact made. These guys are out for blood. It's round 1. Everybody wants to set the precedent for the season. As far as one more surprise, and Rodney, I think you've talked about it a lot, is Trevor Bollinger. I think the only reason I'm not so surprised as to where he's at, based off his last year's performances, this is a shocker. But based on knowing what I'd seen on social media, kind of even before he was talking, even before anybody else was talking, he's a friend of mine on social media, every time he would post something, and he wasn't doing it to flaunt it, it was just, you kind of post about your life. Where in the past it was, he would kind of post about what restaurant he was at or what he was doing, or maybe he would be riding. It was like every day his story was like on a bicycle, going here, doing this. But it wasn't hey, look at me, I'm training. It was just, that's his life. His life this offseason revolved around training. He came in slim, he came in fit, he's ready, and now we're going to find out, when the rubber meets the road, does he have what it takes to run with the elite racers in the world on this final lap of racing? We're going to know in less than 20 minutes.
Well, for a little over 2 hours, he's proven himself to be worthy of that and capable of that. But like you say, this last lap's going to tell the tale of the tape.
There we see Thad Duvall, the 989 machine. Caleb Russell was leading the way. Thad Duvall hot on his heels. There is Stu Baylor. So our top 3 are through. And looks like, there is Stu Baylor. Don't know who that other one was. So Baylor has lost the toe. He is about 7 to 8 seconds behind. And it looks like he might be losing the draft there.
Yeah, that separation with, we saw some lap traffic in there. So we're starting to see some riders get in between them now. And they might start to be getting into that thicker stuff. So this might be the advantage for these guys a little further back.
And there is Bollinger, the 739. So he's about another 10 or more seconds behind Baylor. So it looks like as the pace gets wicked up, you know what they say sometimes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Yeah. These guys, there was 4 rider battle all day long. All of a sudden, as we start coming towards the white flag, last year's 2 studs, Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell, starting to pull away a little bit. Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger still in striking distance, but they are back just a little bit.
They are, and of course, Caleb's going to be tough to beat. He's got a mindset, obviously, but a lot of folks are coming after him, and he knows that. And speaking of that, we had a chance to talk to him, and what are some of the things he is expecting out of this race and this season coming up?
5 in a row. I want to make it 6, obviously. Anything but the championship now would be a letdown. Once you win one, and it's really cool, and it's like, man, can I do it again? And I just kept kind of clicking them off, and now it's like, it'd be a tough pill to swallow to lose. So But it's you know, it's one of those things. I just keep doing me and try to get better, and I know it's hard to do that when you're already at the top, to keep motivated and keep progressing. But I feel like we got obviously a good shot again, and feeling fit. I've been working with Charlie a lot this winter and feel really good. So just excited to get out there. My round one, you know, stats in my career haven't been so great. So I think I've only won the opener one time ever, and in my career. So hopefully we can get out there and put in a good result today and get through it. That's the biggest thing, and then kind of just, you know, kick the season off on the right foot. You know, I'm looking for a win, obviously, but yeah, the first round's always kind of usually something. I usually, you know, make some mental errors and not don't really bring that racecraft to the table 100%. So I'm going to try to do that today, and yeah, hopefully we can get the win.
Well, there you have it, folks. The words from the man himself, five-time champion Caleb Russell. He said he normally makes those mental mistakes at round one. Well, today he kind of played it cool, sat back a little bit, has taken over the lead as we're working our way towards the white flag. We're joined by one of the riders who was just out there battling for a podium position not that long ago. Now you're in here in the booth with us. Ryan, not the day you were looking for, I'm sure, but tell us a little bit in your own words about how things went and exactly what came out of round one for you today.
Yeah, you know, I didn't think I was riding too bad. I thought the pace was pretty good up there. I was running around fifth, and we were kind of, you know, going back and forth, but I felt like I had a little bit more in the tank, and I could maybe make a push late. And the bikes kind of started cutting out, and we pulled in, and we changed the fuel filter. It didn't help. So I don't know if it's something that we did. We got something in the tank, you know, building the bike. I'm not sure. You know, the bikes usually run really good. For some reason today it started to cut out, and it's not a track you want a bike to be cutting out. We're jumping a lot of stuff out there, and when it cuts, you know, I don't want to be flipping. So,
well, that being said, how is the course shaping out there? I know that moisture, that little bit of rain that we got overnight, everybody was kind of the big question mark was, you know, it seemed to hold up pretty well for the morning race. It was starting to get a little bit eat out, but I just went out there and walked around a little bit. Really starting to get rough now. Do you think, did the moisture do it good, or did it actually end up hurting things?
No, I think the moisture was a good thing, but dude, it is rough. I mean, there's some spots that if you're not ready for it, it's gonna take you down. Just really big braking bumps, and the roots are coming up. You know, we're digging down, so the roots are coming up. So it's really gnarly out there. I know my hands are already blistered up, and I didn't even, you know, probably did half the race. So I think that those guys are going to be struggling that last lap.
Now, Ryan, obviously we know you're with us for a partial schedule this year. Have you determined which 4 events you're going to do, or is it kind of on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, the ones I have planned were this one, Tomahawk, and then the new one up at High Point, and then Ironman. But it could change. You know, I've got a lot of other stuff planned too, and I want to hit the ones that I like, but you never know. I could just show up randomly also.
Well, you know, on behalf of everybody here in the GNCC Racing Nation, it's been a pleasure having you full-time. It's a pleasure having you part-time. Anytime you want to come around, hey, if you just decide you want to come check it out for a weekend and you don't want to race, hop in the booth here with us. Always enjoy your insights. And, folks, Ryan Sipes, world-class athlete, motorcycle racer from all forms, and he's going to take that even further in 2018. Flat track racing, straight rhythm. You tell us, what all is it?
Yeah, so I'm going to do GNCC, Sprint Enduro, Pro Motocross, some 125 races, some flat track, straight rhythm, so a little bit of everything. Going to just
look at this. I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the guys you're out there banging bars with normally. Caleb Russell leading the way. He is your leader. Look at that right behind him, the 989 of Thad Duvall. And it looks like they have now really started to open up that gap over Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger. We don't even see those guys in the field just yet. Is that Baylor there? No. So those guys have really opened up the gap. And Ryan, tell us a little bit about that. I know you've won a GNCC. You've been up there battling with those guys. With Thad and Caleb, do they really pick it up there towards the end, or is it just kind of tough to maintain their intensity?
It's a little bit of both. I do think they save a little bit for the end because they both know that the other guy's going to do it at the end, so they got to save a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of a gnarly pace. If you make 2 mistakes in a row, you've lost them. And then it's really hard to gain back because if you can't be right with them and kind of find their lines, it's really hard to make up any time.
Well, I see Trevor Bollinger. It looks like he might have closed the gap up a little bit on Stu Baylor, so those guys definitely not out of it. We'll check the exact times here, but they have definitely lost that lead battle of Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell running 1 and 2, and then third place Stu Baylor, fourth place Trevor Bollinger. But those guys for sure, if they're not able to close that gap up, that may turn into a battle over the third place podium spot just between the two of them, and former teammates there from a few years ago when Trevor was actually riding for Baylor's team. So there's good friends from the same area. So many storylines going on here. It's crazy, but definitely exciting to watch. And Ryan, gutted for you that today didn't go the way you obviously would have liked, but I know it's been a good opening to the season for you with a new addition to the family and a lot of things going on in your personal life as well. And super excited to see just how well things are going for you and all the new opportunities coming your way for you to represent yourself and your sponsors.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be a really fun year. I mean, this is just one of the things that happens sometimes. You're going to have bad races, but hopefully we limit those to very few. And looking forward to coming back and seeing you guys up at Tomahawk.
Absolutely. Well, hang here with us in the booth if you want. We'd love to have you. Obviously, you can provide some insight that Steve's been out of it a few years. I've never quite been at that level. So between the three of us and Rodney and Mikey, we can get it covered because we've got all the bases. Here is the 114 of Josh Strang. We talked about it before. Maybe thinking he was going to be kind of up in there battling for a podium spot, but as you can see, still riding well, aggressive, looks to still have some energy left. So maybe he's going to put in that last lap push. Don't know if he'll be able to quite get up there to battle for a podium, but you just never know. There's still one whole lap of racing remaining, and Strang looks good and strong. I know, Ryan, obviously you've been out there, you've battled with all these guys. Of the top four that we see out there between Trevor, obviously Caleb, Thad, and Stu, who do you feel was not just your biggest competition, but who do you think really kind of is the most intimidating out on the racetrack? Not just their speed, but just the whole package, I guess you would say.
It's funny you were talking about Strang. Sometimes he's the toughest guy to race, but it seems like for the last couple years, for the first lap, he just can't get it going. Even today, he started in front of me, and it was kind of like he was cruising around on the first lap, and I went, flying by him. I had kind of a little goggle issue for about a half a lap, and when he came by me, I thought, I'll just hang in behind him because his lines are really good, but he was rolling. It was like a totally different guy from the first lap. But as far as the toughest guy, I think Caleb, obviously, he's the best there is. And he's not afraid to bang with you a little bit. You make a hard
racing, right?
You make a hard pass on him, he's gonna make a hard one back. So we have a lot of fun though racing.
Well, we see our XC2 leader coming by. That was Josh Toth. He was actually battling with Lane Michael, who's an XC1 rider. But last year, those two were battling for race wins and potentially a championship throughout the year. Now they're in two separate classes, but still battling each other. Here we see Thad Duvall, the 989 machine. Did we miss Caleb Russell?
I think we did.
Okay.
I think we did. I think the other thing that's interesting, jumping in here with Ryan and talking about it. So now that there's one lap to go, and I know we've talked about this some in the past, Ryan, like you mentioned, you make one or two mistakes and the guys are gone. So not only that, but when they're that close together, because four of them were running right together for till the 2-lap board, but with the lappers and with the lanes being tight and it being rough in these woods of South Carolina, once you get back even 5-10 seconds, it's all on how many lappers you can get, and even a tenth of a second or a half a second, or if you're taking 1 second and I'm taking 3 seconds to get by a lapper and you're passing 100 lappers a lap, the math adds up quickly, even though we might be the same pace. So isn't that like such a big factor? You coming from obviously Moto Supercross and now in the off-road, really seeing what a lapper really does, good and bad.
Yeah, no, a lapper in off-road is 10 times as it'll hold you up 10 times as much as in the moto. But talking about kind of losing the lead, when you're wheel to wheel with a guy, you almost pass the lappers as one unit. You both kind of go by at the same time a lot of the times. If you're 4 seconds back, the lapper has already let the guy in front by, and he's back in the line when you come through. So then you have, it holds you up, even if it's 1 second. If you have 5 of those guys, you've already lost sight and you can't do it.
There is Caleb Russell up over no, that must have been Josh Toth. Okay. Those two number ones are kind of messing me up there. I thought, wow, how did he get so far behind? But that is Josh Toth. That's a leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class. We believe it is still Ben Kelly. And there is Ben Kelly. So he's closed that gap up. It was 19 seconds last we were told. It was 18 point something on live scoring. Folks, that was not 18 seconds. Ben Kelly is closing up the gap on Josh Toth, and we might see a battle for the win here yet in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Pascal Rucknicker was our third-place rider. We believe still is the number 117 KTM rider. There is Ricky Russell. That is 8th place in our XC1 Pro class. So he is now behind the top 2 riders in XC2. So Rucknicker will be the next rider that we see coming, potentially, and there he is. No, that's Corey Buttrick. So it appears now Russell has gotten around Buttrick, which moves him up to 7th place in that XC1 Pro class, with Lane Michael in 6th. So we've got now our top 7 coming through, or sorry, our top 8 coming through in XC1, and our top 2 in XC2 have made their way by and up the FMF PowerPoint. We can see a lot of fans have cleared out here. They're probably headed for the finish line because they want to see this one come to a conclusion. It's going to be an exciting finish. Definitely, there is. That looked to be Rucknicker there, if I'm not mistaken. That was a Euro dab there for sure. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, or the lack thereof. He's still standing and balanced and barely dabs. So yeah, they have a certain style.
Yeah, the European riding style is definitely something to behold. Those guys are, their technical skills are second to none. But obviously the Americans are trying to close up the gap. Obviously win it. Oh, there we go. There's another. Oh, that might actually have been Rucknicker there.
Yeah, and Lee's right on him.
Oh no, that might have been Craig DeLong.
It looked like a blue number. I almost think it was an XC3 guy.
Okay.
But could have been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we know that was Austin Lee there, so we think that Lee has been in 4th. We think he still may be. We'll get an update here from Live Score, and we'll see if we can peep the pit board. So look at this, plus 19 seconds, your pace, and then we've got the teammate here, and it says, you're faster.
Right.
So we're getting a little inter squad struggle here. We're going to see what he writes down on the board. Well, maybe it was 19 seconds. It didn't seem to be there at the hill.
Here he comes.
Let's see what he says. 16. He's closing it up down to 16 seconds. It was 18 or 19. Now it's 16. He's saying, you're faster. So Ben Kelly's got to twist that throttle to stops if he wants to track down his teammate. So we'll find out for sure just exactly who that was when they come by VP Fuels Pro Row here in just a moment. If it is still Rucknicker in the 3rd place, or if it is Craig DeLong who's worked his way up in there. And as Ryan pointed out, we might have an XC3 rider possibly up in that battle as well. There's Ricky Russell working his way by, but so many storylines going on here and so many battles in all 3 of our XC classes. It's pretty exciting to watch for sure.
I have to agree with you on that, Johnny. I mean, I also have to think about, man, it's kind of interesting how things have turned around. Normally at the end of the race, you see those guys really tightening up and starting to battle. They battled through the first part of the race, and on the last lap, everything stretches out instead of tightening up. So been a little different than probably the way we would have written it.
There's speaking of tightening up.
There it is. That's tight.
That's about as tight as it gets.
Now I can take back what I just said.
Well, they might have been stretching it out, but they're tightening back up for now. These guys are wheel to wheel. And you know what? These two are no stranger to each other, to battling, and to battling late in a GNCC. I don't know how many times we saw this last year, but really last year I think we could probably all agree that we saw the maturation of Thad Duvall coming from a rider who had the speed but never seemed to be able to put it all together, to last year where he was just on it every single race, right there, battling with Caleb Russell, down to the wire, won so many races. An unfortunate injury at the International 6 Days Enduro in France took him out of contention for the title. Stu Baylor there coming by in the 3rd place spot, and we'll wait and see just what that gap is to Trevor Bollinger, but it looks like it might be opening back up again, where it seemed for a moment Bollinger might be closing in on that 3rd place spot. There is Bollinger, the 739 JCR Honda, still trying to track down Stu Baylor. You know he's wanting to kind of have the payoff for the day of his first podium in that XC1 Pro class, but he's going to need to make up a little bit of gap on Stu Baylor, and Stu Baylor's sure not going to give it up easy, that's for sure. Looks like Scott Grill's one of our XC2 riders there. He's a couple laps down, been making some changes in the pits and lost his front number plate. So he's a lap down, but out there still circulating, getting some points. And these guys are now working their way. This is about the 4-mile marker of a 12-mile course. So we got about 8 miles remaining of action. And
I'll be interested to see what happens here at the end, because we just saw Caleb go by, looked like he was on it. Thad's kind of looking around and just chilling behind him, like maybe he's kind of just waiting his.
Yeah, it did kind of look like that. He seems to be in a little better position right now than Caleb, but at the same time, You know, we talked about, and I heard you guys mentioning a few moments ago, and I think you were talking about, Ryan, how they saved for that last lap. Do you think that they've uncorked that last little bit just yet, or they're going to save it for the last half?
Yeah, they're not. On mile 4, they're still waiting because they have such a lead on third that they don't have to worry about, you know, getting caught from behind. I think the last 3-4 miles, so maybe around the 8. I know back at the 8, that's where the mud hole is, and it gets a little tight. There's a ton of lines back there. I know the track is like 80 feet wide in spots, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity to pass.
So the intensity level should be rising here before we get to the checker flag. So we'll be watching for that. And right now, like we say, we're about working on about the 5-mile marker now, between the 4 and the 5. And right now we're at the FMF PowerPoint if you're watching on RacerTV.com. And still a lot of excitement down here for these guys. But again, riders have spread out. We're 12.7-mile racetrack, some 400 or plus riders on the racetrack. You know, one thing that I have noted here at the end of the race, I haven't seen a lot of congestion. So that means that there probably hasn't been a lot of bottlenecks. Everybody's just kind of out riding their own race, and people have been able to get by them. It might take them a little bit of time because there's so many of them out there, but they're not conglomerated together like what we can see at other times.
Well, 400 riders, but we got a 12-mile course, you know, so there is a lot of riders out there, but at this point, a lot of the riders a little further back aren't quite riding with the same intensity, so when they hear a rider coming up on them, they're kind of getting out of the way. Like you said, no bottlenecks. Now, on this same 12-mile course, but actually without the 2-mile added-in section, 10 miles this morning, we had 700 and some odd riders, so there was a lot of lappers out there this morning, a lot of congestion, and, you know, kind of reminds me of this race. There was a lot of excitement coming to the end, coming down to the final few turns even. And I hope this one plays out much the same in terms of excitement level, because you couldn't really have asked for a whole lot more than
that was a storybook finish, I think, today. And, you know, I think what it did is set the stage for what could be the best WXC championship battle we've ever seen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a barn burner for sure. It was. I don't think anybody saw that one coming, and definitely a lot of girls out there going fast. And now we're seeing Thad, Caleb, Stu, and Trevor Bollinger do much the same in the afternoon. And everybody's trying to kind of find their groove and figure out where they fit in this first round. And that's kind of how it's all playing out here on screen. And you guys at home have got a front row seat to watching it all happen right from the comfort of your own living room.
I think to jump into, like Ryan said, he looked back and saw Thad looking kind of real kosher sometimes at the end. Not that Caleb doesn't want to win or pull away if he could, but Thad's actually could be planning it, let him knock the lappers out of the way, and then you can sneak through like Ryan and I were talking earlier. So it could be a little bit of a power play to let him be there a little bit. Just cruising on the inside, huh?
Is that him right behind?
Yeah, I think so.
Caleb Russell leading the way, missing a handguard. Made a little contact with the tree there. And again, Ryan, I think you're right. That looks pretty relaxed there, but you definitely don't ever want to underestimate Caleb. He's got eyes in the back of his head. So
the key will be for Thad is to keep his wheel. If he just loses a couple seconds, it's going to be hard to make any kind of move.
Well, you know, some might be worried for Caleb if he wasn't already used to this situation. You know, he's been, I guess, tuned in for this after last season, working the battles with Thad Duvall, especially there toward the end of the season, whenever, well, all season long, whenever Thad was out there. So to say that this might shake up Caleb a little bit, I don't think that's going to be the case so much, but what it is going to do is certainly putting him a little bit on edge. So it's going to be fun to watch and see how Caleb rises to the occasion. Will Thad be able to shake him any, or is he going to be able to remain mentally and physically strong today? It's going to take both that.
Yeah, no, and the one thing I've noticed is if you pressure Caleb long enough, he will make mistakes. And he's used to it, obviously, but every time I've been able to put pressure on him, he's made mistakes and went down. So, and maybe it was just because it was me and he was ticked off that I was keeping up with him. I don't know. But we'll see. I mean, he's under pressure. He's pretty good. You know, when I watch, when I'm on the bike behind him, it seems like he makes a lot of mistakes. So, I don't know.
Well, you know, and what's funny is we, from a spectator point, I've sat here and I've watched him ride in what I thought was a flawless race, a race that looked like the race that dreams were made of, you know, and he come out and talk about how horrible of a day it was, how many times he went down, you know, and that's the thing that we don't realize, I think, when you guys are out on the track. You know, when we see you're going at high intense rates, but oftentimes you guys go down a lot that we don't even know about or hear about, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you don't go down, it's big mistakes that it was like, whoa, you know, wipe the sweat off the brow. That was a close call that you guys don't see, you know, just because there's only so many, you know, there's only so many cameras out there. But this track right now is going to be, even when they push, it's going to be easy to make a mistake. Like, you could cruise on it, you can ride it, you know, normal race pace if you're kind of alone out there, maybe 90%. As soon as you wick it up to 100, I think it's going to be, it could bite you.
Yeah, I think obviously Ryan knows, but this is the same track I raced, you know, 15, 20 years ago for years. So once and here they go by, when they try to push on the tree roots and brake and turn and accelerate, the tree roots are what, like Ryan's saying, will bite you and kick you into the trees. So they go back together and buy right together again right there. What mile marker is this roughly? Do you know what the camera is?
Right around 7, yeah.
So 5 miles to go, wheel to wheel. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see how it goes and, you know, hear their stories like Ryan saying. There's so much behind the scenes of a lapper or hit one tree root or whatever, you know, and we've all, you know, heard or seen them. The behind the scenes pretty cool.
I can imagine that there's probably some anxiety in the pits right now, some fingernails being chewed on, and a lot of worry, wondering how this is going to unfold. Both of these riders, I'm sure, want to win this season opener. The one thing about it is, like Caleb said, you know, he doesn't necessarily put a lot of weight on the season opener. He wants to win. He's only won one time. This could be his second ever season opening win. And if he opens up with a season win, you got to wonder what that's going to mean the rest of the season, especially under the fire that he's ridden under today, because he's fallen back, he's caught back up, he's been passed, he's passed back. I mean, he's been ran through the gamut today.
Yeah, and his confidence is high because, I mean, it always is. If you ever even talk to the guy, his confidence is high, but he's not trying to play the same game that Thad's playing, wait back and kind of just wait for your time to pass. He's never been that guy. He's always just go to the front as fast as you can and then try to pull away. So, you know, kind of different strategies for them today.
Well, there goes Bollinger. We saw going through. We see quite a bit of a gap that has opened up there between he and the front runners, but still a solid performance there today by the 789 machine he's riding? 739 machine he's riding. Johnny Gallagher joining us back here in the booth. And Johnny, as we watch this unfold, man, we talk about exciting finishes, and we kind of made mention of that a little bit ago. Talk about an exciting finish. We're anticipating one right now, but look at the one that we had earlier today. Take us through this morning's race, man.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting morning for sure. The 10 a.m. race saw a battle for the overall and the WXC win between Becca Sheets and Taylor Jones. Becca led, I believe, every lap and was leading coming into the final turns, and her and Taylor got together. Definitely hard racing, but clean racing. They both ended up on the ground, and as a result, Becca's bike wouldn't refire. There was a little bit of a fuel issue when ended up having to push it. The final probably quarter mile or so to the finish, was still able to get second place and still get on the overall podium. So good day all in all, but you know, like you said, Ronnie, I think the intensity that those two displayed today was pretty gnarly, and definitely, I think your words were they're setting the stage for the biggest championship battle we've ever seen in that WXC class. It was definitely exciting. We actually had some previous champions returning as well, multi-time GNCC champion Maria Forsberg, but you know, those two girls were just on another planet today.
Yeah, there's Maria, speaking of which.
Yeah, Maria Forsberg, unfortunately, she got into a tree, and apparently when she got up, just had some issues getting going and ended up crashing again, and you can see dislocated her thumb. So rough return to racing after a few years away from Maria Forsberg, but you know, previous champions battling it out for that number 1 and 2 spot, and then you know, a past champion named Maria Forsberg coming back, Mackenzie Tricker rounding out the podium, Brooke Cosner, all those girls were up there battling today, and I tell you what, I think it was pretty interesting to see how many people were lining the fences today watching that battle, and seeing just how fast those girls were going, keeping in mind that they outright were beating riders that were running XC2 a year ago.
That's crazy.
So that were running the Sportsman A class this morning. So those girls are absolutely on fire. They just keep pushing each other and pushing the limits of things higher and higher, and seems like, who knows, maybe someday we'll see those girls in the afternoon battle in the XC classes.
Deep pool of talent there in the WXC class. And yeah, we saw Taylor last year doing the XC3 at the end of the season. So yeah, hopefully we get to see a lot more of that in the future. But
I'm beginning to think that we won't see a championship wrapped up early this year, maybe. But right now, if this first round is any indication, this is going to be a barn burner season for sure.
I tell you what, if they can keep that intensity up between the two of them, three of them, whoever can get up in there and battle like that, that's going to bring a whole new set of eyes and a whole new perspective to women's off-road racing, because that was some serious stuff that was going on this morning.
Oh, it was real serious. Well, we are in the waning moments, and Ryan Sipes, as you were anticipating possibly around the 8-mile marker or so, we might start to see things start to pick up amongst our front runners there of Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall. We, I believe, probably are getting close to that point at this juncture. So I guess we're going to get to see now exactly how this last few miles is going to play out here.
Yeah, and it just depends. Thad might have picked out a spot at the beginning of the race that I'm going to wait till right here. But you never can really rely on that either. What if, you made a mistake before, a couple miles before that, and you're not close enough? So you can't wait too long, but I think he's going to wait toward the end of the race here. If it's what it looks like to me. It looks like he's just kind of biding his time, but
I just wish there was a moto track here. I'd love to see those two throw down on the last lap. Maybe you could just go up, suit up, and jump in there with them. It'd be great.
Yeah, and we won't say they're a few laps down. It just kind of rub some elbows, have some fun. Be perfect.
Just for the show.
Yeah,
right?
just whip it upside down. Hey, you could take some video for us. Put the GoPro on and just film it when you're looking back at it, right?
We need to get some live feed and get Ryan out there on a couple of the ones you're not planning on racing. If you got an off weekend, come out. We'll put a camera on you and see if we can't figure that out. You go out, hop in. I don't know anybody else that could run the pace, so you're the guy. I'll do it. All right, perfect. There you go, to the producers of RacerTV and all the decision makers. We need to get a live helmet cam, figure it out. Ryan Sipes is going to go out there and give us some feedback, maybe even get him a mic, and he can talk us through exactly what's going on. We're going to take things to the next level.
Yeah.
I like spending money that's not mine.
Get like 6 cameras. So you put one on his rear fender. One
there you go.
Forward, backwards,
and a 360 on top.
Yeah, you could rub elbows, make it so just got in there and had some fun rubbing elbows with the guys. They might not like it when they feel what
probably
you're doing.
Not if they're in a good battle.
Well, Ryan, you as a racer coming off of a serious bid for the championship, and Johnny, you might be able to answer this one as well. As we roll down to the last few miles of this race, which rider do you think it might be more important to win this race? Do you think it would mean more for Caleb to win, or do you think it would be more and a bigger win if Thad was able to get that initial points lead right off the bat?
Thad for sure. Just because that's a statement to open the season. If Caleb wins, he always wins.
They are.
So yeah, he's still
right together.
There.
Caleb looked back right as he went down the hill.
Hey, I'm that guy that always likes to disagree with everybody, so I'm going to disagree with you, Ryan.
Okay.
And that's Rodney. Tell him this is what I do.
This is what he does. But get ready, he's got a good answer to go along with it.
Here's why. Because Caleb said in his pre-race interview, he said at the first round, I always make the mental mistake. I can never put it together. I can't get the win at round 1. If he could do that today and start off with a win, that could be a game changer for him. Because he's the guy that seems to have to dig himself out of a hole early in the season. Although he does it quickly and does it well, if he can come out and get a win, that's a huge statement. I agree with you that it's big for Thad, but I think it's bigger for Caleb if he can win it. Devil's advocate.
I respect your opinion.
Not respect your opinion. We just respect each other so much.
I'll jump in here, too.
Okay, weigh in on this.
I think Ryan's right. In my opinion, Thad, if he gets the momentum, he's going to be really hard to beat. But I know Johnny's going to jump on that. But
No.
we'll have good points.
I'm trying to sway Rodney over to my side. Rodney, what do you think? Deciding vote. Who's more important?
I'm on the fence on this one. And Johnny, as much as I want to agree with you, I do almost have to think that a win here for Thad would be bigger, because that would be, like we say, the mental edge that he is going to be looking for. And with what we saw mid-season last year, remember, before all the hoopla and all the the changes and stuff from the finishes and stuff, we did have Thad Duvall briefly in the points lead, if you remember, at the midway point before some changes went on with some different things and stuff going on. So with him to be able to start out the season like this and know that he has got the edge going into round 2, I think it would be exciting to see what Florida would bring even at that point with the level of confidence that Thad would have.
Well, I'll tell you what then. That being said, I'm not going to change my opinion, but I'm surely going to tip my hat to all 3 of you guys, because there's a whole lot of experience and a whole lot of knowledge sitting in those 3 chairs. And if my opinion may differ, although it may or may not be right or wrong, I definitely understand where you guys are coming from, for sure. Huge for Thad. And I think that's kind of why we're seeing the intensity we're seeing out of him. Ryan, a moment ago, you were saying about how he was just kind of hanging out and looking around. Right now, boy, those boys are both heart rates pegged, pinned, just bouncing off of everything like a pinball, because this is it. This is coming to the finish.
Yeah.
This section right here, they're going through the pines. They make a 180 back. They got a fast field section, and then they come on to the final turns. We're less than a couple minutes away. Folks, hide your kids, hide your wives. This one's coming down to the final corners. Grab your neighbors, bring them over to your RacerTV and tune them in, because this is going to make fans of them right now. These guys are going to bring this part of our action right to the finish line in less than 2 minutes.
Mercy. I'll tell
Mercy
you,
sakes alive.
Mercy sakes alive. And as I got to go back to the old Bjorn Hamrick saying, and we've heard this several times today, man, but this has been a wheel-to-wheel kind of race day today, man. I mean,
you know what's interesting, Rodney? At one point, we had a wheel-to-wheel-to-wheel-to-wheel battle. There was 4 guys up there. It was almost like a quad race. There were so many wheels involved.
man, it has been. I have to say, I mean, even last year's season opener was pretty exciting with Stu being able to take the win and everything, but I think there's something even more exciting about the way the competition has been going today as far as the season opener. I mean, the changes, the lead changes that we've seen over the course of the early part of this race, just phenomenal, and that's made for me a lot of excitement. There's Stu Baylor coming through now.
He's in that 3rd place spot. We're looking for that bright high-vis helmet of Trevor Bollinger, see if he can close that gap up, make it a podium battle, but it doesn't look like he's been able to make any inroads just yet. But still, even if Trevor finishes out this day in 4th, I believe that's a huge success for him. He was up there, he was in it. He can go home, he can make those final tweaks. And while we got just a minute here, you know, what do you think these guys take away? I'm going to make this to both Steve and Ryan. What do you think these guys take away from round 1 in terms of, do you stick with what you know, or do you learn something from round 1 and make a few tweaks in the next 2 weeks until round 2?
I think you definitely tweak, but I do think there's 4 guys coming out of here with a lot of momentum and confidence, even though Stu and Trevor are going to be behind, it looks like. I think they both realize they can run potentially with Caleb and Thad, at least for the first half, which is, first half is how you get there, right? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time.
That's right.
So I think the confidence is going to come from this. They'll adapt and figure out, hey, we still got another hour and a half to figure out the second part, but they're getting there. But what do you think, Ryan?
Definitely, and I think it'll all depend on how these guys felt. Like, does Caleb come in and go, you know, it was a pretty good race, but the bike was a little off. And then you go back and you're going to make adjustments. I think everybody's going to learn from it. It's whether you learn that your everything was good, or you learn that, you know, maybe you need to make some adjustments. Well,
what about the diversities and styles of track from round 1 to 2? Because we go from this, the hard clay and things like that, into the Florida sand, then right back into the clay again. I mean, what's that going to do for these guys as far as setups and things go?
Yeah, I think this race kind of, you want a little bit of a softer setup because it's so choppy and there's so many roots and rocks, and then you go to Florida, you can't really have it soft because it's so many big sand woods. So we'll see. I think, you know, both of these guys, or all 4 of these guys, know how to ride the sand. They've ridden in the sand before, so if they test it over the winter in the sand, they should have a good setup there. It could be that, like, I think my bike would have been better in Florida than my setup that I ran today than it was here.
Look at this, folks. Here it is, the battle coming down to the final turns. Caleb Russell looking over his shoulder. He's looking to see where's the 989. He's down on the inside, and it's close, Rodney.
It is, but here it is, the final few turns, and only a few bike lengths ahead. Caleb Russell takes the season opening win here at the BP Fuels Big Buck GNCC. Thad Duval hot on his rear wheel there, talking less than 2 seconds behind, maybe closer to less than a second, but what an amazing battle, and what a great way to set the stage for 2018. These guys virtually picking up where they left off last season, and they are certainly going to give us a show for sure as they make their way out of the finish line region now. Over to Mikey Waynes. We're going to get a chance to talk to Caleb Russell, and of course, coming up here soon, we expect to see the number 514 of Stu Baylor making his way through. But what a day. Johnny, you might be right. This win right here could be the monumental and the big win.
No, you can't jump back on board now.
I'm saying, no, you could be right. This could be what he's looking for, but at the same time, this might also be the fire, or the fuel for a fire that Thad might be looking for, because he might be a little bit upset coming up a little bit short. So we'll see how it all plays out. Time will tell the answer to those questions for sure. But I can tell you right now, looking at Thad Duval's face, there is quite a bit of disappointment there right now.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys, you know, they worked so hard in the offseason, and I can tell you these 2 guys for sure, and I'm sure Stu and Trevor would say the same. They had exactly one thing in mind coming in today, and that was winning. So only one guy can do that. There's only one first-place position, and today it's that man right there, the number 1 FMF KTM and Caleb Russell. We could see there giving fist bumps to some fans. Here we see Baylor working his way through. He's working his way through, coming into coming in to finish out here on the podium. A very respectable ride for Stu Baylor. He's coming in looking like he's going to do a little bit of celebrating to be on the podium, but you know, after last year's win, he came in with the same mindset that Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall did. He wasn't able to quite keep pace with them on the last lap, but still a very solid ride for the 514 machine of Stu Baylor.
Well, I'll tell you, what a great ride for all these guys. I think that we've all got some great things to look forward to, and I think there's more to look forward to. We haven't seen it all yet. I think this is tip of the iceberg.
We've got an XC2 battle coming
exactly.
in. You don't know, that could turn into a wheel-to-wheel battle as well. So many wheels.
But we also got to think in the XC1 class with Josh Strang, Ricky Russell, and those guys, this might have been a one-off race for them, so the next races, don't count them out just yet. We're going to be heading down with Mikey Waynes to the winner's circle here in just a few moments as Caleb Russell is standing by. Looks like they're about ready. So, Mikey, I know pretty intense day. Let's get the words from the race winner himself, Mr. Caleb Russell.
Well, hey, Caleb, getting your face wiped off here, man. A first-round win. I was just talking to you a second ago. You said, yeah, this is my second one of my XC1 career, so this has got to feel good.
Yeah, I've never, for some reason, first round's always kind of struggled, and it started out the same way today. I mean, straight away, I went to grab my Camelback to get a drink. I got a dirt clod in my mouth, and when I reached down to grab it, probably like a quarter mile in, I smoked a tree and went from like fourth to last. I was like, well, here we go again, you know, but I was riding like tight. It was kind of hard to pass that first lap, and the track was a little bit slick from the rain this morning, so yeah, we just plugged along, and every time I would get up to like second or third, I would like get in with a lapper or just make a silly mistake, and like I had a couple pretty big crashes that just set me back, and I was like, it was just one of those races where it was like every time I get to the front, like something would happen, and it was like it wasn't meant to be, but finally got up there, and I felt good, and got in the lead, and tried to charge, and I seen Thad got around Baylor right as I got around him for the lead, and I knew it was game on from there, so it was a good race, though. It was tough.
Absolutely, man. Well, big congratulations to you picking up the win here in round number one. What's in store for Caleb Russell the rest of the year, man? You got to add to that all-times win list. What else?
Just take it race by race. I mean, it's a long season. Anything like it's a lot of hours on the bike out here for 12 more rounds. So we'll try to keep plugging along. That's all I can do.
There you go, guys. Your XC1 winner today, Mr. Caleb Russell. Guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, good. He feels good today, John, and you can see.
Did you just see that sigh right there?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That was straight relief right
I was
there.
getting ready to say that just as soon as he went. A big sigh of relief for Caleb Russell to be able to knock off that first win of the season at the opening round. And, of course, I know that Thad Duvall would like to be making that same sigh right now. But at the same time, you know, he's got to be pretty amped up and pretty charged up that he's right where he needs to be to make this a really great championship. Mikey?
Thanks, guys. Down here with Thad Duvall, man. At one point, this was a four-man race, battling up there for the top spots, able to pull off a second-place finish. I know you wanted to be at the center of that box, but walk us through this big buck round.
Yeah, I just I got in the lead off the like first lap, and just kind of checked out a little bit, and then just I don't know, I started thinking about it too much, and I just I didn't want to push that hard at the beginning of the race because I didn't know. First race, you never know really where you're at, and you know those guys kept up to me, and there was like four riders. So, you know, Stu and Trevor, they were riding really good, but man, they were like on the edge, like pretty scary. So I just kind of laid back and rode my own race, and I knew what Caleb was doing. Caleb was doing the same thing. He was just kind of following and pacing and letting those guys do all the work up front. And you know, Caleb got by me and Stu, and I could tell in Caleb's posture he was ready to push. So I hurried up and got around Stu, and got with Caleb, and we put our head down and charged. And you know, I've been working really hard. I just man, I really wanted to win. It's a long season still, but you know, it's you know, the last two laps were, I mean, balls to the walls for sure, for me at least. And you know, I tried everything the last lap, even to the end of the fields, and just he outrode me at the end for sure.
There we go, guys. That's Thad Duvall, your second-place finisher here in the XC1.
Well, a great show by Thad Duvall, and an even a great show by our third-place finishers today, as we had some really major and intense racing going on through those four riders, and coming out on top of the third-place position today
was the 5:14 of Stu Baylor. He took the season opening win there last year. He was in the battle for it today, and look at the smile that he's got on his face here. Did he chip a tooth there? Is that what
Boy, it looks like it. He's pointing at it. It looks like he's now. Last year he had the mullet. This year he's got the chipped tooth. Stu Baylor is. I tell you what, the boy keeps it to his roots. He's redneck to the core. Doesn't mind owning up to it, and I mean that as a compliment. He owns it. He loves it. He doesn't care about that chipped tooth. He won't be getting any dental implants, that's for sure. He'll rock that for a while. But while we catch up with Stu here, that we've actually seen our XC2 battle come in, but we'll check in with those guys in a minute. Stu's going to tell us a little bit about what he's got going on there with that tooth and how that worked out. Mikey, you get the lowdown on his new dental work?
Not yet. So you guys are going to hear it as I'm hearing it. Stu Baylor, first and foremost, man, third place finish out there today. Second, it's another ice cream sundae, and now it looks like, according to the front teeth there, it's going to be a little easier to eat the ice cream.
Yeah, that's about all I'll be eating, at least for the next couple days.
What the heck happened, man?
It was the second lap, just going up the hill climb, and a rock came off Dad's tire and went just perfect in the helmet and busted out the teeth, and had a pretty bad headache. Like, it was hard to focus. It was a lot easier to follow than lead out there, and I don't know why, but it was, when I knocked the teeth out, like, my head was just pounding and did the rest of the race, and that last lap, I gave it everything, but I started getting sketchy, and those boys were on a mission, so they can have it.
All right, there you go. Stu Baylor taking third place today. Missing a couple teeth, man. We'll take it back to you guys in the studio.
Talk about leaving it all out there, man. I mean, to tell you, that is pretty amazing how much he left out there. A couple of teeth, parts of teeth anyway out there. And, I mean, what's that say, guys? To take a shot like that in the middle of a race, I mean, I know my teeth, whenever I take a shot, that hurts. I mean, how do you maintain enough composure to keep racing and to do it that well?
Well, I think you're exactly right, Rodney. I think, the mental warrior of these guys and of what they're in it for the whole race, and no matter what happens, that's the mentality. So, I know Ryan's been in it, and you have to have that mentality or else there's so many things like that. I mean, that's major, but that happens during a race for 3 hours. There's so many things. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, even it's not quite as severe as breaking out teeth, but a lot of times you bang your foot on a tree and it's like, this thing might be broke. It really hurts, and you can't put a lot of weight on it, but you can't slow down because then you're losing the guy in front of you, and that might result in you finishing 5 spots, further back. So you kind of just try to tune it out. Just, nope, I'm just going to keep going.
Well, I tell you what, that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going until a couple of weeks when we head down into Florida. As round number 2, we'll be heading down there to Palatka for the Wild Boar GNCC. Going to have a lot more questions that, that didn't get answered here today. And actually, I think more questions will be posed now that this first round of racing is over. But, wow, what a great day here in the XC1. Congratulations to Caleb Russell on his season opening win. Thad Duvall for second, and third place there to Stu Baylor. And those fourth and fifth, Trevor Bollinger and Josh Strang, I think that did phenomenal. And we also got to tip our hat to that XC2 battle between Benjamin Kelly and Josh Toth, and even the new arrival there of Rocksknocker, or how you say that?
Close enough, Ronaker. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, so great guy, and good to have him here with us. And just
we believe that rounded out the podium. We don't see the final results, but we know it was Toth and Kelly 1-2, and we think Pascal Rocknaker was our third place rider. It looks like we might get that update here in just a minute.
Yep, there it is. Let's head down to the winner's circle.
Hope you didn't tune out if you saw those credits. We're still here. We're still giving you the updates. And here's your XC2 winner, Josh Toth.
All right, guys, down here with your XC2 winner, like you just said, Josh Toth. Josh, man, walk us through this XC2 win, man. Not skipping a beat from last year.
Yeah, I tried to keep the momentum going from last year, and just kind of rolled into this year having a better starting point, working with Charlie and everything. So I knew my fitness was good, and had confidence coming into this race, and got a pretty good start, and picked my way up through the pack, and just got my way into the lead and just set the pace, and felt pretty comfortable all day.
What was it like battling with your teammate all day, man?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they never gave me any breathing room the whole day. I had it was under 20 seconds the whole day, going back and forth. So it was awesome, really.
Well, you'll have to let him know that your jersey ended up looking a little bit better than his by the end of this one.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, guys, well, that'll do it. That is Josh Toth, your XC2 winner on the day.
I'll tell you, good to see that happening. Josh Toth picking up where he left off a year ago. New team, new look, and still the same old fast guy no matter what you put him on. And, man, I mean, he came into this championship series with a flash, and he has been burning brightly ever since. And I believe that's pretty much going to wrap things up for us here today, guys. Parting shots here from myself personally. I think it was a great day, a great weekend. Couldn't ask for better weather as far as opening up the championship, and I'm super excited and stoked to see what happens when we roll into the Wild Boar GNCC in just a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the round one was a big hit. I think, obviously, great turnout, great racing, great track, great action, and everything was great. Looking forward to doing it again in just 2 weeks, and maybe see if we can dial both these guys and get them coming to the booth again.
For sure.
Thanks for having us out for sure, and it's always a pleasure, Rodney and Johnny, and thanks for stopping by, Ryan. And what do you think of this? Could be a new spot for you too, right?
Yeah, thanks.
A couple years from now.
I have fun doing this, so yeah, anytime you guys have got an opening, I'll sit in.
You can come hop in the booth anytime. We're going to work on that live camera on your helmet, that's for sure. We need to make that happen.
We do. You are welcome anytime. Well, that's going to wrap things up here from Union, South Carolina, my friends. And, of course, with the day coming to a close, it puts in mind that we get to look forward to Florida. So you do the same. Go to GNCCRacing.com. Keep up to date with everything. Follow us on social media. And, of course, we've got all kinds of great things to look forward to. 12 more rounds of this, believe it or not. It's just round one in the history books. And already we got a great championship underway. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV, all of our great support crew and camera guys, all the great announcing staff, I'm Rodney Tomlin, and I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in, and glad to have you folks on board for another exciting season of AMSOIL GNCC Racing and GNCC Live.